Chapter 1707. Yun went to Yang City to buy some things. Isn't the banquet tomorrow? Let's buy the groceries and store them today so that it'll be easier for us to hold the banquet tomorrow. Liang Jinshun nodded. I see. We have to buy some groceries back. This is a joyous occasion. We have to hold the banquet well. Liang Jinxiao nodded in agreement. Yes. Although it's a little troublesome, we still have to hold the banquet. Yes. Not many people can afford to live in a house as big as eldest sister's. In our countryside, only landowners can afford such a big brick house. Guo Caixia said enviously. Eldest sister, you're so lucky to live in such a good house. Your living room is spacious and it feels cool now. It's much cooler than our thatched hut. This is all thanks to Yun-er's money. Yun-er's father and I didn't do anything. If we're talking about luck, it's mainly because we're blessed to have Yun-er. Liang Jinxiao said with a smile that revealed a sense of pride. Wu Zhenju felt a little uncomfortable. She had originally mocked Xiao Yun-er. Now that Xiao Yun-er's family was doing so well, it was a slap to her face. Unfortunately, she couldn't take back the words she had said. Eldest sister, hurry up and give mother a bowl to drink. Wu Zhenju urged. She was a little impatient when she saw Liang Jinxiao holding the mung bean soup and chatting with it without drinking. She was too embarrassed to say that she wanted to drink it, so she could only say that she would give old Madame Liang a bowl. Liang Jinxiao finally reacted and nodded. Yes, you must be tired and thirsty after such a long journey. Come and drink some. As he spoke, Liang Jinxiao placed a few bowls on the table and poured the mung bean soup into them. He handed a bowl to old Madame Liang first. Mother, here, drink. Old Madame Liang took it with a smile. Okay. You guys drink too. Yes, mother. Without Liang Jinxiao's order, Wu Zhenju eagerly picked up a bowl of mung bean soup from the table and poured it into his stomach. She knew that there was not much mung bean soup left. If she finished it first, she could ask Liang Jinxiao to pour more for her. Wow, it's cool and sweet. It's so delicious. It quenches my thirst. After drinking a bowl of it, I feel much more energetic and less hot. Wu Zhenju sighed. After the two men finished drinking, they said, this mung bean soup is similar to Yun'er sour plum soup. They're both thirst-quenching. While speaking, the two men wiped the sweat beads on their foreheads. They felt very comfortable. Their whole body was sweating, and they felt a lot better. Ever since they finished their work, they didn't stay in the third branch. When they went back, the food they ate wasn't as good as the food in the third branch. Both of them missed the days when they worked. Sister, do you have any more? I'm done. Can you pour me another bowl? After Wu Zhenju gulped down a few mouthfuls of the mung bean soup, he held the bowl in front of Liang Jinxiao. It seemed like he was asking for permission, but he was actually ordering Liang Jinxiao. How could Liang Jinxiao not give Wu Zhenju more? Second sister-in-law, there's more. Liang Jinxiao smiled and poured another bowl for Wu Zhenju. However, there wasn't much mung bean soup left in the jar. Today, there were more than 10 people from her maternal family who came, and each person had a bowl of more than 10 bowls. Chapter 1708. Liang Jinxiao shook her head and said, no, it was Yun, who used ice cubes. Wu Zhenju was slightly stunned. What? She used ice cubes? Where did she get ice cubes on such a hot day? This. Liang Jinxiao hesitated and did not know how to explain. She didn't know how to use the ice cubes. She didn't know what Xiao Yun put in the basin, but she made a pile of ice cubes. I don't know either. Yun has a lot of ideas. She came up with it. I see. Wu Zhenju did not dwell on this matter and continued to drink the mung bean soup in his hand. The mung bean soup tasted excellent and quenched thirst. It was really a good thing. The adults liked it, and the children liked it even more. The few children who were brought over held the bowls and drank it. Liang Xinyue copied Wu Zhenju and quickly drank a bowl of mung bean soup. Then, she took the bowl and asked Liang Jinxiao for more. Liang Jinxiao saw that Liang Xinyue was actually here. She did not notice it earlier, but now she noticed it. She asked Wu Zhenju in confusion, "Second sister-in-law, what's going on? Shouldn't Xinyue be married by now? How did she have time to come here? A married woman should be staying at her in-laws' house. Liang Xinyue should not be attending her in-laws' activities." Wu Zhenju's face suddenly fell when he heard this. Guo Caixia could not help but snicker. However, she suppressed her emotions and explained to Liang Jinxiao, "Eldest sister, don't you know?" "Know what?" "Sigh, Xinyue's in-laws broke off their engagement, so she did not get married." "What?" Liang Jinxiao was slightly stunned. She did not expect this to happen. In the countryside, the chances of being rejected by the in-laws were very small. Her eldest niece was quite pretty, so there shouldn't be any reason for her to be rejected. Wu Zhenju's resentful gaze fell on Guo Caixia. She felt that Guo Caixia was gloating at her daughter's misfortune and couldn't wait for her daughter to end up like this. Guo Caixia didn't care about Wu Zhenju's gaze and continued, "There's nothing we can do about it. If we want to blame someone, we can only blame Xinyue for not having a good reputation. That family suddenly changed their mind and wanted to marry someone else's daughter. It was said that his daughter had married into a lower class, and her dowry was worth several hundred taels of silver. Our Liang family is just an ordinary family. What can we use to compare with them? Since other families' daughters are worth more, they definitely won't want our Liang family's daughter." After Guo Caixia's explanation, Liang Jinxiao finally understood what was going on. She thought of her second sister-in-law's smug and proud look. She did not expect that the engagement would be rejected. It was really a slap in the face. No wonder Wu Zhenju looked so embarrassed now. Some things could not be flaunted too much. No one could predict the outcome. The more you flaunted, the more people would laugh at you. Nowadays, both the bride and groom are interested in family background. We can't blame them. However, it's not very kind of them to do this after the engagement. Liang Jinxiao lamented. There's nothing we can do about it. They are rich and powerful. We don't dare to find trouble with them even if the engagement is rejected, Guo Caixia said, hiding the smile on her face. Because of this matter, she had taken pleasure in his misfortune. Chapter 1709. Sometimes, one shouldn't be too cocky in life. The faster one was cocky, the faster one would die. Liang Jinxiao sighed. That's true. Even if we want to cause trouble, we have to have the confidence to do so. They're all ordinary people. It's not worth it if we cause trouble and implicate ourselves. Guo Caixia chuckled and said, "Isn't that so? We can only suffer in silence. I heard that the bride's family is not only rich, but they also have relatives who are officials. How would we dare to provoke an official's family?" Liang Jinxiao nodded. That's true. If they're unhappy, they'll say that we're causing trouble for no reason and that we'll suffer when we get caught in jail. Eldest sister, you're right. That's why we didn't go to them to talk about this. Guo Caixia hid her smile and secretly glanced at Wu Zhenju. When she saw Wu Zhenju's dark face, she felt even happier. Wu Zhenju pursed his lips and muttered, "My Xinyue is good-looking. If they don't know what's good for them and don't want her, they'll definitely find a better one." Guo Caixia couldn't help but tease him. Second sister-in-law, it's not easy to find a good man these days. Moreover, Xinyue's marriage was annulled. Most people would feel uncomfortable. I think it's good enough for her to find a passable man in the village to marry. She can't choose a man with good conditions. If she can't find one, it'll drag Xinyue's age down. When she marries in the future, I'm afraid she can only find a man with worse conditions. He's either poor or old and can't find a wife. Wu Zhenju knew that Guo Caixia said this on purpose and vented his anger. Sister-in-law, what are you talking about? Since my Xinyue can find one once, she can find one a second time. It's fine as long as he's good-looking. Wu Zhenju retorted. His words implied that Guo Caishia's daughter, Liang Shizi, was not as beautiful as her daughter. Guo Caixia sneered, all right, second sister-in-law, you can say whatever you want. When the time comes, I'll see what kind of good husband Xinyue can find. When Liang Jinqiao saw that the two sisters-in-law were at daggers drawn, he hurriedly said, second sister-in-law, in fact, it doesn't matter who the child marries. The main thing is that the person she marries is honest, down-to-earth, kind-hearted, and treats Xinyue well. Liang Jinqiao felt that this was the kind of son-in-law he should find. Sometimes, it would be useless to pursue a man if he did not have a good character. Wu Zhenju didn't take it to heart. Which man in the countryside isn't down-to-earth? If the family doesn't have money, don't tell me my Xinyue will have to marry over and live a hard life. Most importantly, she still hoped that her daughter would marry into a good family so that she could enjoy a good life together with her. Liang Jinqiao was speechless for a moment. Her second sister-in-law felt that way and she couldn't change her mind. Anyway, she felt that a man's character was more important than money. Guo Caixia rolled her eyes and sneered at Wu Zhenju in her heart. Did he really think that rich people were as easy to pick up as cabbages on the street? Although Liang Xinyue was beautiful, her engagement had been broken off and she was not as good as her Liang Shizi. It was good enough that she found an ordinary family to marry. She was still thinking about a rich family. It was simply a fool's dream. Chapter 17:10. All right. Let's not talk about this anymore. I feel annoyed talking about it. Old Madame Liang said with some displeasure. Today, he came to his eldest daughter's house because his eldest daughter's family had built a new house. He was very happy. After listening to Guo Caixia and Wu Zhenju's words and thinking about Liang Xinyue's marriage, old Madame Liang suddenly felt unhappy. Okay, mother. Guo Caixia responded with a smile and pursed his lips proudly. Wu Zhenju continued to put on a sullen face and replied to old Madame Liang embarrassedly, Mother, it was sister-in-law who brought it up. I didn't say anything. Second sister-in-law, look at what you're saying. If eldest sister asks, shouldn't you tell her? We're all family. It's okay to talk about this. I think you're deliberately saying it for me to hear. Wu Zhenju snorted coldly. He couldn't stand Guo Caixia's style of doing things. Second sister-in-law, how can you accuse me wrongly? You're making me sound like someone else. You know very well what you mean. Second sister-in-law, seeing that the two of them were about to quarrel again, old Madame Liang slammed the table and angrily rebuked, Are the two of you done talking? Didn't you hear what I said? All of you shut up. Guo Caixia and Wu Zhenju were more or less afraid of mothers-in-law. In ancient times, mothers-in-law were more powerful than daughters-in-law. No matter how presumptuous they were, they didn't dare to go too far in front of their mothers-in-law. After old Madame Liang vented her anger, Guo Caixia and Wu Zhenju immediately stopped quarreling. Zhao Yun's house fell into silence. The children gulped down the mung bean soup. Children loved sweets and were very greedy. After finishing the mung bean soup, each of them held a bowl in front of Liang Jinqiao and said to Liang Jinqiao, Eldest aunt, we want more. Liang Jinqiao glanced at the mung bean soup in the jar. There wasn't much left. Probably none of the children would be able to get a bowl. At this moment, Daodu ran over. The two kids who had just returned from playing with Xiao Tianfu had a thin layer of sweat on their foreheads. Seeing that everyone in the room was drinking mung bean soup, Daodu tugged at Liang Jinqiao's clothes and said, Grandma, Daodu also wants to drink mung bean soup. So thirsty. Liang Jinqiao looked at the small amount of mung bean soup left in the bowl and felt a little troubled. If he let Daodu and Xiao Tianfu drink it, his nephews would be gone. Liang Jinqiao was afraid that Guo Caixia and Wu Zhenju would scold her, so she asked for their opinion. There's not much mung bean soup left. Sister-in-law, second sister-in-law, why don't we give it to Daodu? Guo Caixia was a sensible person. She pulled her son aside and discussed with him. Dakue, let's give the mung bean soup to Daodu. Don't drink it. Although Liang Dakue was a little unwilling, he nodded obediently. Okay, Mom. I won't drink it then. Wu Zhenju's son, Liang Xiaofei, took after Wu Zhenju's temperament. He was not sensible. Mom, no, I want to drink it. I want to drink it. Before Wu Zhenju could say anything, Liang Xiaofei expressed his determination. Wu Zhenju's mouth twitched. He was very embarrassed. However, she only had one son, and she loved him dearly. She would usually give Liang Xiaofei whatever he wanted, and this time was no exception. Wu Zhenju said to Liang Jinxiao, Sister, we are guests today. Shouldn't you let the guests eat and drink well first? Chapter 1711. Wu Zhenju's words made sense. Regardless of whether it was in ancient times or modern times, the first thing to do when entertaining a guest was to let the guest eat and drink well. The host had nothing to do with it. Alright, don't do this. Didn't Xiaofei already drink it? Why is he still drinking it? You and your family are the only gluttonous ones in the Liang family. You eat more than the others. Old Madame Liang couldn't stand Wu Zhenju and couldn't help but scold him. Guo Caixia followed behind and said, That's right. Mother, you saw it too. Just now, second sister-in-law and Xin Yue each drank 2 bowls of mung bean soup. We only drank 1 bowl. There's not much left now. My Dakue didn't even want it. Why must Xiaofei drink it? Wu Zhenju's resentful gaze fell on Guo Caixia. Her sister-in-law was deliberately singing a different tune from her. Old Madame Liang nodded and said, Yes, so Xiaofei doesn't need to drink the remaining soup. Xiao, give it to Daodu to drink. With old Madame Liang's words, Liang Jinxiao finally felt relieved. Mother. Wu Zhenju looked at old Madame Liang with some reluctance. Don't say any more. You don't know the rules at all. Aren't you afraid of being laughed at when you go out? You're making it seem as if the Liang family doesn't give you food on a daily basis. Wu Zhenju finally shut up. He glanced at Liang Xiaofei and felt sorry for his son. Liang Jinxiao poured a bowl for Zhao Tianfu and Daodu each. The 2 children held the bowls and were about to drink it. Liang Xiaofei suddenly rushed out from behind Wu Zhenju and went in front of Daodu. He snatched Daodu's bowl. Not only did he snatch Daodu's bowl, but Liang Xiaofei also took advantage of the fact that he was a head taller than Daodu and pushed Daodu to the ground. Daodu fell heavily on the ground, and a layer of his skin was scraped off as he tried to support himself. Liang Jinxiao's heart skipped a beat when he saw this. He rushed over to Daodu and carried Daodu in his arms. How is Daodu? Are you hurt anywhere? Show it to me. Tears welled up in Daodu's eyes. He walked up to Liang Jinxiao with his hands out and said to Liang Jinxiao, Grandma, it hurts. Liang Jinxiao held Daodu's hand and looked at it. Daodu's hand was bleeding from the scratches. Children's hands were very tender. If they accidentally knocked on the ground, they would hurt themselves. Seeing Daodu injured, Liang Jinxiao's heart immediately ached. She looked at Liang Xiaofei with some displeasure. How could this child be so naughty and unreasonable? How could he push someone down so casually? Liang Xiaofei didn't feel that there was anything wrong with what he did. He grabbed the mung bean soup from Daodu's hand and gulped it down in a few mouthfuls. Liang Jinxiao's face darkened. This child's education was too outrageous. Wu Zhenju was not angry. Instead, he felt that Liang Xiaofei had done him a favor. Since he could not get it peacefully, he had to snatch it. Liang Jinxiao comforted Lil Pi with a few words, walked to Liang Xiaofei, and said to Liang Xiaofei, Xiaofei, haven't you already drunk a bowl? How could you snatch Daodu's bowl? You even pushed Daodu down. Look, Daodu was hurt by you. His hand is scratched. Liang Jinxiao's tone was a little harsh. Since he was her nephew, she had to teach him a lesson. If she did not discipline him, he would be even more unreasonable when he grew up. If Zhao Tianfu was like Liang Xiaofei, she would have slapped him. Chapter 17:12. Wu Zhenju hurriedly defended his son and said, "Eldest sister, what are you doing? Xiaofei is still young and doesn't know any better. Aren't you afraid that you'll scare him by being so fierce?" Liang Jinxiao's expression did not look good. She took a deep breath and argued with Wu Zhenju, second sister-in-law, "That's not right. Xiaofei may be young, but it's wrong to steal from others. Not to mention, he even hurt Daodu. If we don't teach him a lesson now, won't he become a bandit when he grows up?" Liang Jinxiao's words made Wu Zhenju very unhappy. Wu Zhenju rolled up his sleeves and put his hands on his waist. He said fiercely to Liang Jinxiao, "Eldest sister, who are you saying will become a bandit when he grows up? My Xiaofei only took some mung bean soup from your family to drink. Is there a need to say that he will become a bandit when he grows up? What kind of person are you? You treasure a little mung bean soup and can't bear to give it to my Xiaofei. To think that Xiaofei calls you eldest aunt." Liang Jinxiao's mouth twitched and her expression turned even uglier. "Second sister-in-law, I'm not saying that Xiaofei will definitely become a bandit when he grows up. I'm saying that children should be educated well from a young age. Otherwise, who knows what he will become when he grows up if he learns bad things. If he learns how to steal now, won't he become a bandit when he grows up? Second sister-in-law, I know that Xiaofei is your son and that you treasure him and spoil him, but you can't do this." Wu Zhenju snorted coldly and said sarcastically, "Haha, eldest sister, are you teaching me how to educate a child? Your second brother doesn't even care about my Xiaofei. What are you doing here? You're no longer part of the Liang family after marrying out. What right do you have to criticize my Xiaofei? Can't you just teach your child well? I have the final say in how my Xiaofei teaches you." Liang Jinxiao bit her lower lip. It was really tiring to argue with someone as unreasonable as Wu Zhenju. If Liang Xiaofei really followed Wu Zhenju's teachings, this child would definitely be ruined. "Second sister-in-law, I don't care what Xiaofei does, but this child has hurt Daodu. He has to apologize to Daodu." Liang Jinxiao took a deep breath and said with a cold look in his eyes. Liang Xiaofei tugged at Wu Zhenju's sleeve and shook his head. "Mother, I don't want to apologize. Little Fei, just apologize. It's indeed your fault for snatching other people's things." Old Madame Liang couldn't stand it anymore and tried to coax Liang Xiaofei. However, as Liang Xiaofei was old Madame Liang's precious grandson, old Madame Liang's attitude wasn't too tough. Instead, she used a negotiating tone. In the end, Liang Jinxiao's family was an outsider to old Madame Liang. They were not as close as her own grandson. Liang Xiaofei pouted and continued to refuse, "No, I don't want to apologize. It's eldest aunt's fault for being stingy and not giving me mung bean soup." Old Madame Liang sighed and didn't say anything else. Wu Zhenju snorted softly. "Eldest sister, we're guests today, and Xiaofei is just a child. As an adult, why do you have to be so calculative? You're Xiaofei's eldest aunt, aren't you?" Wu Zhenju's words meant that if Liang Jinxiao didn't let Liang Xiaofei off, it would be considered as being calculative with a child. Liang Jinxiao felt uncomfortable, but she didn't want to quarrel anymore. She felt bad for making Daodu suffer like this. So what if he's a child? Can he do whatever he wants just because he's a child? A cold voice came from outside the house. Then, Zhao Yun's figure walked into the house. Zhao Yun glanced at Daodu's hand, and her gaze became sharper. Chapter 17:13. She couldn't care less about what they did to others, but if they hurt Daodu, she wouldn't sit back and do nothing. Liang Jinxiao's gaze fell on Zhao Yun when he saw Zhao Yun walk in. He sighed in relief because he knew that Zhao Yun wouldn't let Daodu suffer any losses now that she was back. Wu Zhenju was slightly taken aback and looked at Zhao Yun. Zhao Yun's aura was so oppressive that she couldn't breathe. She couldn't help but feel a chill run down her spine. Wu Zhenju's mouth twitched and revealed an ugly and fake smile. He greeted Zhao Yun Yun, you're back. Zhao Yun, sneered and ignored Wu Zhenju. She stared coldly at Liang Xiaofei, who was standing behind Wu Zhenju. Such a young child, under Wu Zhenju's nurturing, had become unruly and out of control. Now, he was acting so unreasonable in her house and even bullying Daodu. Wu Zhenju knew that Zhao Yun, was angry. He thought that Zhao Yun, was going to teach Liang Xiaofei a lesson. He quickly stood in front of Zhao Yun, and said to Zhao Yun, Yun, Xiaofei is just a child. Don't be too calculative with him. He was just being naughty for a while. It's not a big deal. Zhao Yun's lips curled into a cold smile. He's just a child. It's not a big deal. You shouldn't be calculative with a child, Wu Zhenju smiled embarrassedly. Yeah. We adults shouldn't get involved when children are being naughty. It's normal for small fights to happen. Zhao Yun didn't say anything. The smile on her face was too cold. No one could guess what Zhao Yun was thinking. It was because of this that Wu Zhenju felt a sense of danger. Zhao Yun walked in front of Daodu and said to Daodu, Daodu, did you hear what your second aunt said? We adults shouldn't get involved in small fights between children. Do you know if I can help you? Daodu nodded and replied in a soft voice, Mother, Daodu knows. Wu Zhenju sighed in relief. He thought that since Zhao Yun said that, she wouldn't pursue this matter. But in the next second, Wu Zhenju's face. Zhao Yun said softly, since Mother can't help you, then you have to rely on yourself. We can't be at a disadvantage. How others bully you, you have to bully them back. Have you forgotten all the kung fu your father taught you? Why didn't you use it at a critical moment? Uncle Xiaofei is so old, can't you beat him? After being reminded by Zhao Yun, Daodu's eyes lit up. Mother, Daodu can do it. Zhao Yun, patted Daodu's head and said, since you can, then go. Remember, don't be at a disadvantage. Mother, Daodu knows. Daodu clapped his little hands. His eyes, which were still glistening with tears, suddenly revealed a sharpness that didn't match his age. Wu Zhenju's heart suddenly tightened. His lips trembled as he asked, Yun, girl. What are you trying to do? Zhao Yun, smiled coldly. I'm not trying to do anything. Since it's a matter between children, I naturally won't get involved. I'm just letting Daodu solve it himself. Second aunt, you said it yourself. It's just children being mischievous. We'll just watch. You won't get involved, right? Chapter 17:14. At the very least, his little Fei was a head taller than Daodu. How much strength could Daodu exert at such a young age? She and Zhao Yun wouldn't get involved, so it would be more beneficial for her. Even so, Wu Zhenju was still quite worried. He saw Daodu's stubborn little face walk up to Liang Xiaofei. Liang Xiaofei was used to thinking highly of himself, so he didn't put Daodu in his eyes at all. He felt that if he didn't teach Daodu a lesson, he would miss the opportunity to teach him a lesson. Liang Xiaofei put the bowl on the table. When he was about to reach out to hit Daodu, he was thrown heavily to the ground by Daodu with a handsome shoulder throw. Ah! Liang Xiaofei screamed in pain. However, this was just the beginning. After Daodu threw Liang Xiaofei to the ground, he punched Liang Xiaofei's chest a few times. Zhao Yun watched coldly from the side. No matter how ruthless Daodu was, it was Liang Xiaofei's own fault. She had to teach Daodu a good lesson. He shouldn't be taken advantage of when he was young, so he shouldn't be too weak when he grew up. After all, Daodu often followed Liang Jinxiao. Zhao Yun was afraid that Daodu would be influenced by Liang Jinxiao. In any era, a person who was too weak would only be bullied. She didn't want to see Daodu like that. Daodu was encouraged by Zhao Yun and became even more ruthless. He directly used Liang Xiaofei as a daily target to train his skills. Thus, everyone watched as a 3-year-old child pressed another child who was a head taller than him to the ground and beat him up merrily. The older child didn't even have the strength to fight back. Wu Zhenzhu was stunned for a few seconds. After seeing this scene, he was stunned. He hurriedly tried to push Dao Du away from Liang Xiaofei, but Zhao Yuner blocked him. Second aunt, what are you doing? Zhao Yuner asked with a cold smile. Wu Zhenzhu said angrily, Yuner, look at what Dao Du has done to my little Fei. Zhao Yuner smirked and asked, so what? It's just a fight between children. Didn't second aunt say that before? Why are you feeling sorry for little Fei now? Can't bear to see him get beaten up by my Dao Du? Wu Zhenzhu was so angry that his face turned ashen. He pointed at Zhao Yuner and scolded, what fight? Are you blind or what? My little Fei's face is bruised and swollen. This isn't light. Zhao Yuner put her hands on her waist and said indifferently, second aunt really does feel sorry for her son. However, you are so agitated when your little Fei gets beaten up. My Dao Du was pushed to the ground and scraped his hand, but you are so casual about it. You can't say that your son is a treasure while someone else's son is trash, right? You, second aunt, little Fei can't beat my Dao Du because little Fei doesn't have the ability. He's so much older than my Dao Du, but he was pushed to the ground and beaten up. How embarrassing. Second aunt is an adult, so don't help her. Otherwise, if an adult like you bullies my Dao Du, I won't let you off. Zhao Yuner warned coldly. Wu Zhenzhu was intimidated by Zhao Yuner's sharp gaze. He didn't dare to step forward and could only watch as Liang Xiaofei got beaten up. Hitting Liang Xiaofei's body was more painful than hitting her. Dao Du, why are you being so gentle? Did mother not feed you enough and you don't have any strength now? Zhao Yuner called out to Dao Du. Chapter 17:15. With his mother backing him up, he wasn't afraid of anything. Thinking about what Zhao Yun had taught him before, Dao Du didn't hold back at all when he beat someone up. Today, if he didn't fight for his face, he had to fight for his dignity. He had to beat Liang Xiaofei until he remembered that he wasn't someone who could be easily bullied. Wah wah wah, Liang Xiaofei cried miserably as he was beaten up. Wu Zhenzhu was so anxious that she stomped her feet. Unfortunately, Zhao Yun was blocking her, so she couldn't save Liang Xiaofei. She could only watch as Liang Xiaofei was beaten up. Zhao Yun that bitch, she was too much. If anything happened to her little Fei, she wouldn't want to live either. Wu Zhenzhu hurriedly gave Liang Jinhui a look. She couldn't save Liang Xiaofei. As Zhao Yun's second uncle, Zhao Yun had to listen to him, right? Liang Xiaofei was Liang Jinhui's son after all. How could Liang Jinhui watch his precious son get beaten up so badly? Thus, he took a step forward and discussed with Zhao Yun, her girl, our little Fei was in the wrong this time. I apologize to you. Look, Dao Du has been beating him up for so long. Shouldn't he let our little Fei go? Zhao Yun's eyes turned cold. She chuckled and said, second uncle, your words make it sound like I won't let little Fei go. Then Dao Du, second uncle, that's a matter between children. If you don't want little Fei to get beaten up, then let little Fei fight back. Don't tell me that little Fei can't beat Dao Du even though he's a head taller than Dao Du. This, Liang Jinhui was a little frightened by Zhao Yuner's cold eyes. His wife didn't know how powerful Zhao Yun was. He had been with her for a long time and knew that Zhao Yun was not to be trifled with. If Zhao Yun got angry, the situation would be very serious. Wu Zhenzhu originally hoped that Liang Jinhui would be able to help Liang Xiaofei, but now that he found out that Liang Jinhui was a coward, he didn't dare to say a word. Seeing Liang Xiaofei beaten black and blue, Wu Zhenzhu couldn't help but wipe the tears from the corners of his eyes and cry with heartache. She had to remember this Zhao Yuner later. She would definitely get her revenge. Old Madame Liang also felt heartache, but just as she was about to say something, she was stopped by Guocaixia. Mother, you don't have to worry about this matter. It's useless even if second brother says anything. It's indeed little Fei's fault first. We adults shouldn't get involved in children's matters. Otherwise, Yuner will feel uncomfortable, and big sister will also feel uncomfortable. Old Madame Liang sighed and said, AI, okay then. That's the only way. Old Madame Liang felt sorry for her grandson, but she also knew that this was Zhao Yuner, so she couldn't be too protective. Dao Du beat up Liang Xiaofei for a while. When he saw that Liang Xiaofei was beaten up badly by him, he slowly got up from Liang Xiaofei's body. Liang Xiaofei was already on the ground, unable to move, and blood was flowing out of his nostrils. After Dao Du beat up Liang Xiaofei, he walked towards Zhao Yuner. Zhao Yuner squatted down and wiped the sweat off Dao Du's forehead. Then, she asked with concern, Dao Du, how are you feeling? Does your hand hurt? Do you want mother to rub it for you? After Zhao Yuner said this, Wu Zhenju's mouth twitched. He was so angry. It was clearly her little Fei who was in pain, but in the end, it was Dao Du who was at a disadvantage. Wu Zhenju looked at Zhao Yuner with resentment. Dao Du heaved a sigh of relief and shook his head with a smile. Mother, Dao Du doesn't hurt. There's no need to rub it. Chapter 17:16. At the same time, Zhao Yuner didn't forget to teach him, Dao Du, the next time someone bullies you, crying is useless. You have to use your fists to teach them how to behave. You're a man, so you have to know how to protect yourself. Do you understand? Yes. Yes. Mother, Dao Du will definitely do that in the future. Good boy. Seeing that Dao Du was tired, Zhao Yuner felt a tinge of sadness in her heart. This child had suffered so much in the past and was bullied by so many people. Fortunately, it wouldn't happen again in the future. With her around, no one would dare to bully the mother and son. Wu Zhenju cried as he rushed to Liang Xiaofei and carried Liang Xiaofei. Liang Xiaofei continued to cry loudly. When he reached Wu Zhenju's arms, he cried even more fiercely. Mother, it hurts. It hurts so much. Wu Zhenju patted Liang Xiaofei's back and said, all right. Xiaofei, don't cry. Mother knows that Xiaofei has been wronged. Mother. Liang Xiaofei realized that when he opened his mouth, a tooth fell out of his mouth. It was still stained with blood. Wu Zhenju was shocked when he saw it. He couldn't help but scold Zhao Yuner, look. Look at your family's Dao Du, isn't he too ruthless? My family's Xiaofei's tooth has been knocked out. So what? If he can't beat others, he can only be beaten. Why don't your family's Xiaofei stop teasing my family's Dao Du? Otherwise, he'll have to bear the consequences. Second aunt didn't teach her child well. How can you blame my family's Dao Du? Zhao Yuner replied indifferently. She didn't care about Liang Xiaofei's injury at all. Wu Zhenju was so angry that his liver hurt, it's just a child. Why are you so ruthless? It's really bad luck to have such a relative. Xiaofei's father, as a man, you can't even protect your own son. What's the use of you? I think he's just a good-for-nothing. Wu Zhenju vented all his anger on Liang Jinhui. If Liang Jinhui had made a move just now, Liang Xiaofei would not have been injured so badly. Liang Jinhui expressed his helplessness. How could a man like him protect her? Should he make a move on a child or a woman? If he protected her, he would be scolded again. Little Fei's mother, this is our little Fei's fault. It's fine if a child's teeth fall out. They'll grow back in a while. This is a lesson for Xiaofei. He should restrain his temper. It's fine if he's arrogant at home. Our family can spoil him, but no one will let him do as he pleases outside. After listening to Liang Jinhui's words, Wu Zhenju became even angrier. Useless means useless. Why do you have to do all this nonsense? Xiaofei is just unlucky to have a useless father like you. Liang Jinhui was a little embarrassed. This woman was not done yet. Guo Caixia, who was standing at the side, was gloating. She was very happy to see the second branch suffer. Usually, Liang Xiaofei was very pampered in the Liang family. He often bullied her family's Dekue, but Wu Zhenju was very protective of him. Every time, it was Liang Xiaofei who suffered. Now that she saw young Xiaofei being taught a lesson, she finally vented her anger. Evil brats like Liang Xiaofei had to be taught a lesson. Otherwise, they wouldn't know what was good for them. Chapter 17:17. Wu Zhenju knew that Guo Caixia was gloating over Liang Xiaofei's injury. The corner of his mouth twitched violently, and he felt like he was about to vent his anger. Now, he only felt that everyone was bullying him and his mother. Xiaofei, let's go. Wu Zhenju grabbed Liang Xiaofei and walked out of Zhao Yun'er's house. What are you doing? Liang Jinhui hurriedly asked. Taking Xiaofei away. I want to go back to my mother's house. Xiaofei is no longer a member of the Liang family. Wu Zhenju said angrily. She was really angry. Her son was beaten up like this, but as a father, Liang Jinhui did not help him. He played down Liang Xiaofei's injury. None of the other members of the Liang family were good people. They all wanted her son to be beaten up. Since no one cared, she might as well take him back to her mother's house. If Liang Xiaofei followed the surname Liang behind the Liang family, it would be too good for the Liang family. Liang Jinhui immediately blocked Wu Zhenju's path and said with a serious face, "What nonsense are you talking about? Don't you feel embarrassed?" Wu Zhenju shouted at the top of his voice, embarrassed. How is it embarrassing? You didn't even protect Xiaofei when he was beaten up. Since you don't care, I'll take Xiaofei back to my mother's house. Xiaofei will cut off all contact with the Liang family. He's no longer a descendant of the Liang family. Liang Jinhui was also a little angry. You woman, you only know how to talk nonsense when you're angry. Xiaofei is my son, which means he's Liang Jin's descendant. What's the point of bringing him back to your mother's house? You even said that you'll cut off all contact with him. Can you really do that? Hee, you still know that Xiaofei is your son. What kind of father doesn't help his son and let his son be beaten so badly? I think you're a black-hearted person. You don't care about Xiaofei at all. The corners of Liang Jinhui's mouth twitched. He felt helpless. He didn't know what to say to such a woman. Second sister-in-law, we're a family. Why are you making such a fuss? It's just a small quarrel between children, but you're making it sound so serious. Guo Caixia stepped forward and tried to persuade her, but she only added fuel to the fire. Small fights? You knocked out my Xiaofei's teeth, and you call that a small fight? The way I see it, they can't wait to beat my Xiaofei to death. My family's Xiaofei has a tough life, otherwise, he would probably be dead by now. Wu Zhenju continued to tug at Liang Xiaofei, as if he was determined to leave. Why are you making a fuss at such a bad time? Aren't you afraid of being laughed at by others? If you want to leave, you can leave. Leave little Fei behind. Little Fei is my son. He follows me and is surnamed Liang. How can he be taken away by you? Liang Jinhui was also angry and said coldly. You. Why should I give you my son? You didn't help him when he was beaten up, and now you have the nerve to fight with me. Why can't I fight with you? Little Fei grew up in the Liang family, and he eats the Liang family's food. If he doesn't follow me, should he follow you? Alright, Liang Jinhui, you heartless person. I must have been blind to follow you. Wu Zhenju sat on the ground and cried. Zhao Yun'er saw the scene in front of her and couldn't help but frown. She hated this kind of quarreling scene the most. It made her feel annoyed. Especially Wu Zhenju, who was shouting at the top of his lungs and acting like a shrew. To put it bluntly, wasn't it because she saw it that day? It was all Daoda's fault for being too ruthless and hurting Liang Xiaofei. Chapter 17:18. Zhao Yun'er's cold voice drifted over. Are you going to scram or not? If you want to scram, then hurry up and scram. Don't make a fuss in my house and bring bad luck to yourself. Wu Zhenju's resentful eyes fell on Zhao Yun'er. The instigator of all this was Zhao Yun'er. This *tch. Wu Zhenju was so angry that he picked up the iron shovel next to him and wanted to swing it at Zhao Yun'er. He had to fight it out with Zhao Yun today. Zhao Yun narrowed her long and narrow eyes. Just as she was about to dodge, someone kicked Wu Zhenju in front of her and sent him flying. Wu Zhenju fell heavily to the ground and cried out in pain. The iron shovel also fell to the side. Everyone looked up and saw Mu Lianfeng standing in front of Zhao Yun, with a sullen face. Mu Lianfeng asked gently, Yun, are you all right? Zhao Yun shook her head and said, I'm fine. You came just in time. How could anything happen to me? Mu Lianfeng responded. His deep and cold eyes stared at Wu Zhenju and his gaze suddenly became sharp. Wu Zhenju felt a murderous aura. He looked up at Mu Lianfeng and was intimidated by the aura that Mu Lianfeng was emitting. The Liang family's gaze also fell on Mu Lianfeng. Among these people, except for Liang Jinhui and Liang Jinshun, no one else had seen Mu Lianfeng before. Mu Lianfeng was wearing a purple brocade robe and exuded the aura of a noble. One look at Mu Lianfeng's attire and the noble aura he exuded showed that he was not an ordinary person. When the two unmarried girls from the Liang family saw Mu Lianfeng, they were completely attracted to Mu Lianfeng. In all their lives, they had never seen a man so handsome. It was as if he had walked out of a painting. His eyes were as charming as peach blossoms, his tall nose bridge, his thin lips, and his well-defined face were truly captivating. Liang Xinyue and Liang Xinzi's hearts rippled. They were deeply captivated by Mu Lianfeng. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes today, they wouldn't have believed that there was such a man. He was much better looking than the villagers in the village. Most importantly, Mu Lianfeng was not only handsome, but also had an extraordinary status. His family must be rich. Many women wished to marry such a man. Liang Xinyue and Liang Xinzi were both dazed by Mu Lianfeng. How could they pay attention to Wu Zhenju's trivial matters? You want to make a move on Yun, Mu Lianfeng asked in a cold voice. His gaze seemed to be able to kill Wu Zhenju. Wu Zhenju sat on the ground and trembled for a moment. He stammered, she was the one who did it first. She beat my son up like this. I was just angry and wanted to return the favor. You can't bully people like this, right? Mu Lianfeng's brows furrowed. Zhao Yun took a step forward and said to Wu Zhenju, Second aunt, it was clearly your family's Xiao Fei who bullied my family's Dao De first. No matter how badly he was beaten, you have to accept your fate. Although Wu Zhenju was afraid, he was still somewhat unconvinced as he replied, Why? How can you be so unreasonable? My family's Xiao Fei was only scratched by Daodu. Look at Xiao Fei's bruised nose and swollen face, even his teeth were knocked out by Daodu. Chapter 17-19. Wu Zhenju and the rest of the Liang family were stunned by Zhao Yun's words. Daodu was the son of the crown prince? How was that possible? Although Liang Jinhui and Liang Jinshun knew that Mu Lianfeng's identity wasn't ordinary, they didn't know that Mu Lianfeng was the current crown prince. If that was true, then Daodu's identity was incomparably noble. What? Wu Zhenju asked in disbelief. He thought that he had misheard. How could Daodu be the son of the crown prince? He was clearly a bastard. Zhao Yun didn't know who gave birth to him. Zhao Yun curled her lips and said sarcastically, Second aunt, are you deaf at such a young age? Do I need to repeat my words? Daodu is the crown prince's son. Wu Zhenju muttered. It was already good that Liang Xiaofei was able to keep his life this time. The Zhou country had a rule that the children of nobles couldn't be casually harmed. Otherwise, they would be sued in jail. Daodu is this crown prince's son. I want to ask, who dares to harm him? Mu Lianfeng's cold voice sounded. His gaze fell on Wu Zhenju's body and became even more terrifying. Father! Daodu ran in front of Mu Lianfeng and hugged Mu Lianfeng's thigh. Mu Lianfeng picked up Daodu and held him in his arms. He rubbed Daodu's body and asked, Where are you hurt? Let father take a look. Daodu raised his soft little hand and placed it in front of Mu Lianfeng. Then his soft voice sounded in Mu Yanfeng's ear, "Father, it hurts here." Mu Yanfeng glanced at Daoda's little hand. There was indeed a scratch. It was a good thing that it wasn't a big deal. Otherwise, he wouldn't let the person who hurt Daoda have it easy, even if it was just a child. "Are you better now?" Much better. Later, father will help you wipe it with medicinal wine." "Yes, father." Seeing the father-son relationship between Mu Yanfeng and Daodu, the Liang family was stunned. Then, the man in front of them was the current crown prince? They might not believe it if it was someone else, but Mu Yanfeng's attire and the aura he exuded made them believe it. Liang Xinyue and Liang Xinzi looked at Mu Yanfeng with even more dazed eyes. Crown Prince. What a noble status. No wonder Mu Yanfeng looked different from the rest. He was different from the villagers. This kind of man with such an extraordinary status really made people fall head over heels for him. Wu Zhenju trembled and panicked. "That Crown Prince. My family's Xiaofei really didn't do it on purpose. Please don't take it to heart." Mu Yanfeng coldly hooked his lips. "Don't take it to heart? Does this Crown Prince's son allow you to humiliate him?" Wu Zhenju was so frightened that he quickly pulled Liang Xiaofei to kneel in front of Mu Yanfeng and shouted, "Crown Prince, please be magnanimous and let our family's Xiaofei go. It's all this child's fault. It's all his fault." Liang Jinhui also quickly knelt down to plead, "That's right, Crown Prince. Xiaofei is still a child. Please forgive him. It's our fault for not teaching him well. You can blame us." Mu Yanfeng didn't say anything. He just hugged Daodu and casually asked a few unimportant questions. Wu Zhenju and Liang Xiaofei's foreheads were covered with a layer of sweat. They were afraid that Mu Yanfeng would be unhappy and directly send Liang Xiaofei to prison. Chapter 1720. However, Liang Xiaofei didn't know any better. He broke free from Wu Zhenju's grip and got up from the ground. "Mother, why are you apologizing? Daodu beat me up like this. You have to avenge me," Liang Xiaofei said stubbornly. Wu Zhenju raised his head and reprimanded Liang Xiaofei, "You child, what are you talking about? Hurry up and kneel down." "No, I don't want to. Mother, you have to avenge me quickly. I want to teach Daodu a lesson and break his teeth. Mother, you love me the most. You have to help me." Liang Xiaofei didn't give up and shouted. Wu Zhenju glanced at Mu Yanfeng. When he saw Mu Yanfeng's sullen face, he hurriedly reprimanded Liang Xiaofei, "You damn child, if you continue to talk nonsense, I'll beat you up." If he didn't scold Liang Xiaofei like this, Liang Xiaofei would really make a scene. When Mu Yanfeng made his move, he would probably lose his life. "Mother, you're a bad person. You won't help me," Liang Xiaofei shouted arrogantly. "Then I'll deal with him myself. I'll definitely beat Daoda to death." Liang Xiaofei revealed a fierceness that didn't match his age. He was already so young. This kind of child would definitely dare to do anything when he grew up. In the end, it was because his parents spoiled him too much. They thought that he was the oldest and couldn't bear to be wronged or suffer. After being bullied, he reacted this way. Wu Zhenju's heart thumped. This damn child, it's over, it's over. If the heir heard this, he definitely wouldn't let her precious son off easily. Who told you to talk nonsense? Who told you to talk nonsense? Wu Zhenju was so angry that he got up from the ground and slapped Liang Xiaofei a few times. Liang Xiaofei's mouth was suddenly swollen, and he couldn't speak for a while. 2 more teeth fell out of his mouth after Wu Zhenju slapped him. Wah wah wah. Liang Xiaofei cried even more miserably. As he cried, saliva dripped from his mouth along with blood. It was a ghastly sight. The Liang family did not dare to step forward for fear of offending Mu Yanfeng. In the eyes of the first branch, Liang Xiaofei, this brat, was reaping what he sowed. Usually, it was fine for him to bully others, but this time, he bullied a powerful person, so he would be badly battered. After this lesson, let's see if Liang Xiaofei dares to be so arrogant and willful in the future. Wu Zhenju did not expect that he would be so heavy-handed. He immediately felt his heart ache. After all, Liang Xiaofei was her precious son. Usually, she could not bear to even touch a single strand of his hair. This slap was so heavy that it knocked out 2 more of Liang Xiaofei's teeth. Seeing Liang Xiaofei's swollen mouth, Zhao Yun did not have a trace of sympathy. Liang Jinxiao was a soft-hearted person. After seeing this scene, he stepped forward to mediate. All right, let's forget about this matter. Heir presumptive, fortunately, Daodu is not too injured, and Xiao Fei has also learned his lesson. I don't think he will dare to do it again. Mu Lianfeng gave Liang Jinxiao face and responded, since that's the case, let's forget about it as Auntie says. Liang Jinxiao smiled gratefully, then turned to instruct Wu Zhenju and Liang Jinhui, second brother, second sister-in-law, in the future, you should remind Xiao Fei not to cause trouble and teach him well. Otherwise, Xiao Fei will suffer again like today. Wu Zhenju wiped the tears from the corners of his eyes and nodded. Chapter 1721. Wu Zhenju sighed deeply in his heart. He could only let his Xiao Fei suffer. It was one thing for this child to bully others on a daily basis, but this time, he bullied Daodu every day. For a moment, Zhao Yun's house fell into silence. There was no more commotion from before. After learning of Mu Lianfeng's identity, everyone was trembling with fear in front of Mu Lianfeng. None of them dared to speak loudly in front of Mu Lianfeng. Moreover, after experiencing this incident, they knew that Mu Lianfeng was definitely in a bad mood. If they said something wrong and angered Mu Lianfeng, they would all suffer. Liang Xiaofei was originally crying and throwing a tantrum, but this child was sometimes very shrewd and knew how to read people's expressions. In this situation, his parents were trembling with fear and did not dare to breathe loudly. If he made a fuss, wouldn't he be courting death? Second sister-in-law, I'll go get some water. Wipe Xiaofei's mouth. Liang Jinxiao said. Liang Xiaofei's mouth was full of blood, and his neck and clothes were stained with blood. He looked very miserable. Liang Jinxiao sighed in his heart, but he did not sympathize with Liang Xiaofei. Wu Zhenju wiped his eyes and responded, okay, eldest sister. After a while, Liang Jinxiao brought a basin of water from the kitchen. Wu Zhenju was about to help Liang Xiaofei wipe his mouth when Liang Xinyue moved in front of Wu Zhenju attentively and said to Wu Zhenju, Mother, let me do it. I'll help Xiaofei wipe his mouth. Look at your face. Hurry and wash your face. Wu Zhenju touched his face. Because of the tears and the sticky snot, he could imagine his current sorry state. Thus, he said to Liang Xinyue, okay, you help Xiaofei wipe his face. Mother will wash my face. Okay, mother. Liang Xinyue replied. However, Liang Xinyue's movements were a little awkward. It was as if she was trying to show off and attract attention. Liang Xinyue dipped the towel in the basin and stole a few glances at Mu Lianfeng. Her ears were red. It was obvious that his little wife had seen the appearance of the man she admired. All of Liang Xinyue's actions fell into Zhao Yun's eyes. Zhao Yun's heart was clear. Could it be that her cousin had taken a fancy to Mu Lianfeng? Zhao Yun was not angry. After all, Mu Lianfeng was an outstanding man. Not to mention his status, he was handsome. It was normal for teenage girls to fall in love with him. The more people who liked Mu Lianfeng, the more it proved that Mu Lianfeng was charming. It also showed that her taste in men was good. However, Liang Xinyue could only think about it. Her man could not be coveted by anyone. Otherwise, she would not be easy to provoke. Liang Xinyue was so attentive because she hoped that Mu Lianfeng would notice her and look at her. Maybe Mu Lianfeng would take a fancy to her after seeing her charming appearance. Not to mention being married to Mu Lianfeng as his wife, as long as she could be Mu Lianfeng's concubine, she would be happy. Being with such a handsome man was a very happy thing. Moreover, she could eat and drink well with him and live a rich life. Liang Xinyue's little thoughts were seen through by Liang Xinyue. Liang Xinyue was usually more reserved and low-key than Liang Xinyue. How could she be as scheming as her? Seeing Liang Xinyue shamelessly trying to attract Mu Lianfeng's attention, Liang Xinyue secretly cursed. Chapter 1722. Normally, Liang Xinzi couldn't stand Liang Xinyue's mouth, and this time, she despised it even more. She silently hoped that Mu Lianfeng wouldn't look at Liang Xinyue, and that he wouldn't be captivated by Liang Xinyue's seductive appearance. What disappointed Liang Xinzi was that Mu Lianfeng did indeed look at Liang Xinyue, and his gaze was somewhat deep. When Liang Xinyue saw that she had attracted Mu Lianfeng's attention, her heart immediately bloomed with joy. She shyly lowered her head, and her movements became even more bashful. However, Liang Xinyue didn't pay attention, and the strength of her hand that was wiping Liang Xiaofei's mouth suddenly increased by quite a bit. Ah ah ah, Liang Xiaofei screamed. Liang Xinyue was shocked by Liang Xiaofei, and couldn't help but scold Liang Xiaofei. What are you yelling for? Aren't you afraid of scaring people to death? Liang Xiaofei glared at Liang Xinyue, and complained unhappily, Sis, you hurt me, and you don't allow me to scream? Liang Xinyue rolled her eyes at Liang Xiaofei. You deserve it, who told you to cause all this trouble? I was kind enough to help you wipe your mouth, and you didn't know how to endure the pain. Liang Xiaofei's resentful gaze fell on Liang Xinyue, and he muttered, Sis, you were distracted by Daoda's father, and that's why my mouth hurt. You still have the nerve to scold me. After Liang Xiaofei finished speaking, everyone in the room looked at Liang Xinyue. Liang Xinyue immediately blushed. When Liang Xinzi saw this, she couldn't help but cover her mouth and secretly laugh. This Liang Xiaofei's words were too honest, but what he said was the truth. Looking at Liang Xinyue, he felt a little embarrassed. A big girl like her was actually staring at another man like a love-struck fool. Liang Xinyue's face turned even redder. She was a girl after all. She still had some sense of shame. Liang Xinyue used even more force and scolded Liang Xiaofei. Do you still know how to talk, you damn child? It hurts, it hurts, it hurts. Liang Xiaofei cried out in pain again. Humph. Liang Xinyue snorted. She couldn't wait to teach Liang Xiaofei a lesson. She didn't feel the slightest bit of heartache. Liang Xiaofei angrily pushed Liang Xinyue's hand away. When he saw Wu Zhenju come in, he hurriedly rushed to Wu Zhenju and complained to Wu Zhenju, Mother, don't let sister wipe my mouth. She wiped my mouth until it's rotten. It hurts so much. Wu Zhenju glanced at Liang Xiaofei's mouth and couldn't help but scold Liang Xinyue, don't you know how to wipe Xiaofei's mouth? Can't you be gentler and more careful? Why did you put so much force into it? Look at Xiaofei's mouth, it's even more swollen. Liang Xinyue curled her lips and said, he deserves it. Who told him to spout nonsense? Liang Xiaofei was unconvinced and complained, Sister, when did I spout nonsense? Weren't you staring at other people's men like a love-struck fool? Guocaixia couldn't help but chuckle. She said to Wu Zhenju faintly, Second sister-in-law, we all saw this. Xiaofei didn't lie. Was indeed staring at the heir apparent. Wu Zhenju's face darkened. He naturally knew what Guocaixia meant. Wasn't she just saying that her daughter was shameless? How could an unmarried girl stare at other men and even act like a love-struck fool? Liang Xinyue's face also darkened. She glared at Guocaixia. Chapter 1723. Liang Xinzi snorted softly, that's right. When the time comes, I'll be implicated. People will think that I'm the same as her. I'm not that shameless. Liang Xinyue and Wu Zhenju's expressions became even uglier. Liang Xinyue had a bad temper. She replied unhappily, Who are you calling shameless? Don't tell me you don't know who I'm talking about. You. Don't go too far. Liang Xinyue gritted her teeth. Guocaixia hurriedly protected her daughter and reprimanded Liang Xinyue. Second sister-in-law, look, this child Xinyue. I really don't know what to say. It's fine if she stares at the air, but she doesn't even let others talk about it. Aren't we doing this for her own good? What if the next time she goes out and meets a handsome man staring at her again? Won't she be laughed at to death? Wu Zhenju lost face, but he couldn't refute Guo Zaixia's words. He could only reprimand Liang Xinyue. Did you hear what your eldest aunt said? You're an unmarried girl. Next time, don't lose your composure and let others see you as a joke. Liang Xinyue gritted her teeth. I know, mother. Zhao Yun watched this farce and felt that it was somewhat interesting. It seemed that every household was not so peaceful. Even her uncle's family, who usually felt that it was good to be together as a family, were secretly competing with each other. No one liked the other. Through this matter, she could extract some information. Zhao Yun restrained the smile at the corner of her mouth. She pulled Mu Yanfeng and had Mu Yanfeng rest in another room. Her man couldn't be coveted by other women. Looking at Mu Yanfeng's departing figure, Liang Xinyue was a bit disappointed. It was good to see such a handsome man for a while. It was pleasing to the eyes. Liang Xinzi was also a bit disappointed. Like Liang Xinyue, she also hoped that Mu Yanfeng would take a look at her. However, she was more self-aware than Liang Xinyue. How could such an arrogant man like him take a fancy to a woman like her? After Mu Yanfeng left, Guo Zaixiao couldn't help but lean in front of Liang Jinxiao and gossip. Eldest sister, is Daodu really the heir's son? Liang Jinxiao replied, yes, he is. Guo Zaixiao sighed, that is to say that Yun was not pregnant with a bastard, but the son of the heir. After Guo Zaixiao finished speaking, she realized that she had let the cat out of the bag and hurriedly explained, eldest sister, I didn't mean anything else. People were spreading rumors that Yun was pregnant with a bastard. I didn't expect it to be the heir's son. This is too unbelievable. Liang Jinxiao pursed her lips. People misunderstood Yun in the past. Fortunately, the heir's son has acknowledged her and cleared Daoda's name. Guo Zaixiao couldn't help but feel envious. If Daoda was the heir's son, wouldn't his eldest sister's family become rich together with him? With the heir's status, wouldn't their family be able to live a good life? She was wondering why his eldest sister's family was living so comfortably. They were building a big house and living here and there. It turned out that they had hooked up with the heir's son. With the heir's son around, how could they not live well? Eldest sister, Yun is really lucky to have given birth to a son for the heir's son. She has finally earned back all the hardships she suffered in the past few years. Liang Jinxiao nodded in agreement. Yes, Yun did suffer a lot because of the groundless framing. Chapter 1724. From Guo Zaixia's point of view, there was nothing special about Zhao Yun. At most, her looks could be considered delicate, but she was not the kind of beauty that would attract people's attention at a glance. With Master Shizi's status and looks, he would definitely not fall for a girl like Zhao Yun. So Zhao Yun must have used some tricks to get pregnant with Master Shizi's child, right? If that was the case, Guo Zaixiao would find out more about it so that her daughter could give it a try. If her daughter could give birth to Master Shizi's children, she would be able to live a life of luxury like Liang Jinxiao's family. Liang Jinxiao was slightly stunned. She really did not know how to answer Guo Zaixiao's question. She did not even know how Zhao Yun had gotten pregnant with Master Shizi's child. So she could only reply, this was an accident. Guo Zaixiao thought that Liang Jinxiao deliberately kept it a secret because she felt that Zhao Yun's pregnancy with Master Shizi's child was not honorable. She pursed her lips resentfully. She was curious, but she was too embarrassed to continue asking. An accident? How could it be an accident? Why did such a good thing happen to their family instead of other people? Anyway, she did not believe it. Zhao Yun led Mu Yanfeng into the house. When Mu Yanfeng saw that Zhao Yun was not in high spirits, he could not help but ask, Yun, what's the matter? Zhao Yun pursed her lips and said to Mu Yanfeng, sigh, I'm amazed by your face. What's wrong with my face? It's too easy to attract bad suitors. Mu Yanfeng's face twitched. He smiled embarrassedly and said, Yun, you can't blame me for this. I didn't want to look like this. I was born this way. Why don't I use the knife to cut myself a few times now? If I get a scar later, I won't be handsome anymore. There definitely won't be other women staring at me. Naturally, I won't attract any rotten peach blossoms. Pfft, Mu Lianfeng called out to Zhao Yuner. This man was a little too harsh on himself. Forget it. You have such a beautiful face. It would be a waste to have a scar on it. But you can go out less in the future. You can only show it to me. As Zhao Yuner spoke, she moved closer to Mu Lianfeng and lifted Mu Lianfeng's chin, teasing him ambiguously. However, Zhao Yuner didn't know that her actions had drawn fire to herself. Mu Lianfeng suddenly pulled Zhao Yun into his arms. Zhao Yuner whispered, Mu Lianfeng, what are you trying to do? I want to do you. Pfft, Zhao Yuner choked again. She blinked in disbelief. Did these words really come out of Mu Lianfeng's mouth? That's not possible, right? Usually, Mu Lianfeng was very serious. When did he become so coquettish and say such words? You, what are you saying? Zhao Yuner blushed and pouted. I said, I want to do you. Mu Lianfeng repeated. Zhao Yuner glared at Mu Lianfeng and said unhappily, saying such shameless words in broad daylight, aren't you afraid of being heard by others? Don't you have any shame? In any case, you're still an heir, aren't you? Mu Lianfeng didn't take it seriously and replied, so what if I'm an heir? Can't an heir be interested in having sex? Confucius said that food and sex are human nature. If I say such words to my wife, who can laugh at me? Chapter 1725. Shameless. Your skin is getting thicker and thicker. And you're getting more and more indecent. You're completely different from before. Zhao Yun couldn't help but ridicule. Mu Lianfeng chuckled. Yun, you're my wife. What's wrong with being a little thick-skinned in front of you? Don't you think so? Yun, do you like my serious appearance, or do you like my indecent appearance? As Mu Lianfeng spoke, he leaned in front of Zhao Yun, and wanted to kiss Zhao Yun, However, he was pushed away by Zhao Yun, Zhao Yun, struggled out of Mu Lianfeng's arms. I'm going to cook with my mother. I'll help you. No need. You should rest. Don't go out for a stroll so that you won't be remembered by my two cousins again. Mu Lianfeng smiled helplessly. Ai, all right then. Come out after we eat. Okay. Zhao Yun said and walked out of the house with a blush on her face. What happened just now still made her feel a little shy, especially when Mu Lianfeng said, I want to do you. Zhao Yun thought of the explosive scene when she and Mu Lianfeng had sex. It was indeed enough to make her blush and her heart beat faster. Zhao Yun shook her head and hurriedly drove these messy thoughts out of her mind. Because the Liang family was coming at noon, their family had to entertain them. Fortunately, they bought a lot of things back from Shangyang City today. They casually made a few dishes to entertain them. Zhao Yun made a fish and some meat. In addition, she stir-fried a few vegetables. After a while, a fragrant smell came out of the kitchen. The Liang family was a little impatient from waiting. After rushing for such a long time, their stomachs were already empty. When they smelled the fragrance of the dishes, they were naturally hungry. As soon as Liang Jinshan and Liang Jinhui smelled the fragrance of Zhao Yuner's dishes, they started to savor the taste even more. Yuner's cooking is really good. This dish is so delicious that I want to eat it just by smelling it. Aya, isn't that so? I haven't eaten Yuner's cooking for a while and I've been missing it. I can finally eat it again today. We didn't believe you when you said that Yuner's cooking was delicious. Now it seems that it's true. Ha, I'm drooling just by smelling it. I can't wait to eat it. Guo Caixia couldn't help but tease them. At the same time, his heart was filled with emotion. He thought that in addition to Zhao Yuner's good cooking skills, money was also very important for the dishes to be so fragrant. If he didn't have money, how could he eat meat? How could you put so much oil in the stir-fried dishes? Therefore, in general, it was because Zhao Yun'er was pregnant with the heir's child that she could live such a good life. It was a hot day and the kitchen was very hot, especially in the afternoon. After a while, Zhao Yun'er was sweating profusely in the kitchen. It wasn't really the hot season yet. When the time came, who knew how hot it would be? The 21st century was still better. At least there was an electric fan. It wouldn't be so hot anymore. When it was almost time to eat, Zhao Yun'er's second aunt and youngest aunt also came over. When Liang Jinfen saw that the Liang family was also here, he happily came over. Ah, eldest brother, second brother, you're here too. Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui smiled and nodded in agreement. This time, Liang Jinfen was the same as last time. He came over to Zhao Yun'er's house with his family. He couldn't wait to have an extra mouth to feed and take advantage of it. Chapter 1726. Otherwise, her family and Zhao Yun'er's family were separated by a few villages and had to walk a long way. Her mother was also reluctant to rent an ox cart and had to walk all the way here. After walking such a long distance, she was so tired that her legs were sore. One trip was already torturous enough. After going back last time, she had to rest in bed for a few days before recovering. After seeing Zhao Yun'er's house with more than 10 rooms, Su Lady couldn't help but sigh. This house was indeed built with style. Their Su family was already considered a wealthy family in the village. The few brick houses they built were envied by the villagers. Where would they see a house with more than 10 brick houses built at once? Zhao Yun'er's house was not only the best house in their village, but it was unlikely that they could find a better house than Zhao Yun'er's house in the surrounding villages. Su Lady's eyes revealed a trace of envy. If her house was built like this, how good would it be? Or if the family she married into in the future had such a good house, she would be satisfied. Liang Jinfen went over to the Liang family and continued to exchange a few words. Then, he scurried around Zhao Yun'er's house and looked inside and out. After looking around, he muttered sourly, "Ai, now among us brothers and sisters, eldest sister's family is living the best. Look at this house, they built more than 10 rooms. Before eldest sister separated from the family, she didn't live so well. Ai, it's really 30 years in the east and 30 years in the west." Eldest sister's family suddenly became rich. Old Madame Liang didn't think as much as Liang Jinfen. Her daughter's family was living a good life and she was happy from the bottom of her heart. She laughed and said, "Isn't this normal? No one's family will always be poor, and no one's family will always be rich. As long as we work hard, we will definitely live a good life." Old Madame Liang's words were also for her 2 sons to hear. As long as her 2 sons worked hard, their Liang family's life wouldn't be too bad. After all, Liang Jinhui and Liang Jinshun were bricklayers. In this era, bricklayers' wages were not low. They earned a lot in a year and with the harvest from the fields, they had a lot of income. "Mother, you're wrong. We can't compare to eldest sister's family." Guocaixia couldn't help but say, "After all, we're just an ordinary family. Eldest sister is now the heir's mother-in-law. How could it be the same? With Lord Shizhi around, even if he doesn't do any work, eldest sister's family will still be able to live well." Old Madame Liang smiled, "We don't need to compare ourselves with Xiao's family, as long as we are considered good in the village. After all, there are too few people in the village who can build more than a dozen brick houses." Guocaixia replied casually, "Mother, you're right. Their Liang family was doing well in the village. They had a lot of land and the 2 brothers' salaries were high. They could be considered rich. Of course, they couldn't compare to those big landlords." If Guocaixia hadn't seen Zhao Yun'er's family before, she would have been very satisfied. But after seeing Zhao Yun'er's family and living in such a big house, Guocaixia couldn't be balanced in her heart. There was a good saying, there was no harm in comparison. Who would want their life to be worse than others? Especially when Liang Jinxiao's family's life was not just a little bit worse than their Liang family's. Now that they suddenly became rich, it always gave people a kind of unreal feeling. Chapter 1727. When Guocaixia saw Liang Jinfan's puzzled expression, she smiled and explained, "Second sister, don't you know about eldest sister's family? Daodu is the heir apparent's son, so isn't eldest sister the heir apparent's mother-in-law?" Liang Jinfan blinked and replied in disbelief, "What? Daodu is the heir apparent's son? Sister-in-law, are you sure you're not mistaken?" Guocaixia pursed her lips. "What are you saying, second sister? How could you be mistaken about such an important matter? Are you sure you're not mistaken?" "Of course I'm not mistaken. I don't know the specifics either, you can ask eldest sister." "Oh right, the heir apparent is in the house, you should be able to see him when we eat later." Liang Jinfan continued to open her mouth, as if she had indigestion. How could this be? How could Daodu, that little bastard, be the heir apparent's son? If eldest sister was really the heir apparent's mother-in-law, then it would be out of the ordinary. Her daughter's marriage to the Huang family already gave her a lot of face and made her feel very proud. What's more, Zhao Yun was actually with the heir apparent. Guocaixia did not continue to speak to Liang Jinfan about this matter. The more she spoke, the more unhappy she felt. Zhao Wenhua asked Liang Jinfan and her family to drink some water. Liang Jinfan gulped down a few mouthfuls of water and was not in the mood to sit around idly. Her eyes were fixed on Zhao Yun's house. "Eldest brother-in-law, your house must have cost a lot of money to build, right?" Liang Jinfan asked jealously. Zhao Wenhua smiled sheepishly. "Yes, it cost a bit of money." "How much is a bit?" "A few dozen taels." Zhao Wenhua replied. "How much is a few dozen taels exactly?" "Eldest brother-in-law, you have to be clear about this matter, otherwise, won't you be wasting your breath?" "I don't know the details. Many things were bought by Yun. However, the cost of building the foundation, building materials, and the wages of the workers would cost at least 60 to 70 taels. In addition to the furniture in the house and other things that I can't calculate, it should be around 80 to 90 taels." Liang Jinfan had originally planned to go back and encourage the old man of the Su family to build such a large house. However, when he heard Zhao Wenhua say that it would cost 80 to 90 taels, wouldn't that mean that it would cost almost 100 taels? The old man of the Su family was very stingy. It was impossible for him to take out so much money to build a house. He might not even have that much money in his hands. In other words, her family would be completely suppressed by her elder sister's family in the future. Liang Jinfan thought about how he had looked down on Liang Jinxiao's family and humiliated them. Now that there was such a big reversal, he felt like he had been slapped in the face. He was very unhappy. She was very clear about her elder sister's and her brother-in-law's abilities. The reason why her elder sister's family was doing well was because they had a good daughter like Zhao Yun. Previously, she had made a lot of money by setting up a breakfast stall. "Lady, look at how capable your cousin is. You should learn from her in the future, okay? You're both cousins, so why is there such a big difference?" Liang Jinfan complained to Su Lady. He blamed his poor life on his daughters. If his two daughters could be like Zhao Yun, then wouldn't she be able to live a good life? Chapter 1728. Liang Jinxiao was not a fool and naturally understood this. She rebuked Su Lady, "I'm not asking you to learn how to make money like Yun. I'm asking you to be as smart as your cousin. Making money depends on your brain. Think about other ways to make money." Su Lady pursed her lips and complained, "Mother, it's easy for you to say. How can I make money just because you say so? I also want to use my brain to think about it, but I can't think of anything." Liang Jinfan felt uncomfortable and kept lamenting that her daughter was not as good as her elder sister. It was not that she was not as good as her elder sister, but it was because of the influence of the next generation. The Liang family sat in the hall of Zhao Yun's house, each with their own thoughts. Many of the brothers could not bear to see anyone living better than them. Zhao Yun's family suddenly became too rich, which made them feel uncomfortable. Liang Jinyu was the last to arrive at Zhao Yun's house. Because Zhao Yun's family was holding a banquet tomorrow, she was informed of the time. She had to send the money over on the last day, otherwise it would be too late on the banquet day. It was the busy period of the farming season. Liang Jinyu's family rented a lot of land, so she was very busy. This time, she came to send the money over alone. The rest of the family did not come with her. Unlike the rest of the Liang family, who were very leisurely and came together as a whole family. When Liang Jinyu saw her relatives as soon as she entered the door, she quickly greeted them with a smile on her face. She looked very happy. Usually, she lived a poor life and did not have much time. Most of the time, she was working to earn money. Basically, she did not interact much with her siblings. However, they were her relatives after all, especially her brothers and mother. It was impossible to say that she was not excited when she saw them. When Liang Jinyu saw old Madame Liang, she quickly went over. Her nose was a little sour as she greeted, "Mother, you're here too." Old Madame Liang replied with a smile. She pulled Liang Jinyu's hand and sat down beside her. Seeing Liang Jinyu's thin and old appearance, old Madame Liang felt a little distressed. Among her children, Liang Jinyu's life was the most difficult. She was clearly the youngest child in the family, but she looked older than the others. Country people were like this. They worked too much and were too tired, so they looked older. It was all because of exhaustion. It's your elder sister's big day. I have nothing to do at home, so I naturally came to join in the fun. I know that you and your second sister will come. Our family can be considered together. Old Madame Liang said. Liang Jinyu responded, but she was a little choked up. She could tell that her mother missed her a little. Wasn't she the same? Which child wouldn't want to be filial to their parents? Unfortunately, they didn't have the conditions to do so. Compared to old Madame Liang, the rest of the Liang family and Liang Jinfan's family did not have such a good attitude towards Liang Jinyu. In their eyes, Liang Jinyu was a poor person. She was even poorer than the average poor person. 2. T. Chapter 1729. Liang Jinyu was used to them being like this. Apart from feeling a little disappointed, she didn't say anything else. Her siblings were different, so she didn't say anything. She could talk more with her mother. Liang Jinyu hadn't seen her mother for a while. She easily noticed that old Madame Liang's hair had turned a lot whiter. She couldn't help but sigh. "Mother, the days pass so quickly." Old Madame Liang smiled and replied, "Isn't that so?" "Hey, Mother, I don't have time to visit you. How have you been these days?" Old Madame Liang said, "I'm doing well. I have your eldest and second brothers, and your eldest and second sisters-in-law. How can I be badly served by them? You, on the other hand, have lost a lot of weight since the last time. Your body can't take it if you continue like this. Don't tire yourself out. Don't force yourself to do work that you can't do." Old Madame Liang looked at Liang Jinyu with a touch of heartache. She used to feel sorry for her eldest daughter. Now that her eldest daughter's family was doing well, only her youngest daughter was not doing well. She hoped that her youngest daughter's family would also be doing well. Seeing Liang Jinyu like this, it was impossible for her to continue. Liang Jinyu sighed. "Mother, I know. Don't worry about me." Old Madame Liang took Liang Jinyu's hand and patted it. Zhao Yun happened to be going into the house to get something. When she came out of the kitchen and saw Liang Jinyu, she smiled and greeted Liang Jinyu. "Aunt, you're here." Zhao Yun's politeness was in stark contrast to her family's indifference. It made Liang Jinyu feel very touched. Liang Jinyu also smiled and replied, "Yes, I just came. Aunt, have a good rest. Sit down and drink a glass of water." Zhao Yun said and specially poured a glass of water for Liang Jinyu. Liang Jinfan, who was sitting on the stool, couldn't stay calm. Why was it that when she and Liang Jinyu were sitting in the same room, Zhao Yuner treated her like air and ignored her? She didn't even greet her and instead greeted Liang Jinyu, this poor wretch? Liang Jinfen coughed softly and said to Zhao Yuner unwillingly, Yuner, why didn't you pour me a cup of water instead of your aunt? Zhao Yun glanced at Liang Jinfen. Zhao Yun hated this second aunt of hers. If it weren't for her parents and the fact that they were relatives, she would have thrown Liang Jinfen out of her house long ago. How could she allow Liang Jinfen to pollute her vision? Second aunt, don't you have hands? Why do you want me to pour it for you? Zhao Yun said bluntly, making Liang Jinfen's expression turn ugly. Liang Jinfen awkwardly tugged at the corner of her mouth. Yun, her girl, didn't you just pour a cup for your aunt? I'm your second aunt, why don't you pour me a cup too? We're both elders, you can't be biased. Zhao Yun rolled her eyes at Liang Jinfen, second aunt, it's my business who I want to pour water for, not because aunt is my elder. If you don't want to drink water, you don't have to. You expect me to pour water for you, haha, tui dream on. After Zhao Yun's humiliation, Liang Jinfen's face couldn't hold on any longer. Look, this Yun, her girl is too outrageous, right? She actually dares to talk to her elders like that. How infuriating. Chapter 1730. Liang Jinfen realized that he was the only one speaking. The rest of the Liang family was silent, and he couldn't help but blush. What was going on? Why weren't they helping her to speak up for Zhao Yun? They were making it seem like she was being unreasonable. Zhao Yun sneered and said, Second aunt, you have to make yourself clear today. How am I being unreasonable? You. Liang Jinfen met Zhao Yun's frightening eyes, and his imposing manner immediately weakened. What about me? Second aunt, do you have nothing to say? Zhao Yun continued to question him coldly. Alright, second sister-in-law, it's just a glass of water. Why did you have to make Yun pour it for you? It's not like you can't pour it yourself. Guo Caixia spoke up for Liang Jinfen. On one hand, she helped Liang Jinfen out of the situation, and on the other hand, she fawned on Zhao Yun. It could be said that both sides benefited. Although Liang Jinfen was unhappy, he didn't continue to say anything. Zhao Yun, that wretched girl, couldn't be too calculative with her. Otherwise, her liver would explode from anger. After Liang Jinyu drank the water in the glass, she looked at Liang Jinfen apologetically. She felt that it was all her fault. If it weren't for her, her second sister wouldn't have had a conflict with Zhao Yun, and made things unpleasant. Aunt, please continue to sit. Seeing Liang Jinyu stand up again, Zhao Yun hurriedly called out to her. Liang Jinyu shook her head. No, Yun, girl, I have to go back. As Liang Jinyu spoke, she took out a red packet from her sleeve and handed it to Zhao Yun, Yun, girl, this is the gift money for building your house. Zhao Yuner accepted the gift money and asked Liang Jinyu in confusion, Aunt, why are you in such a hurry to go back? I still have to work when I get back. There's a lot of work at home. I have to finish it quickly. Liang Jinyu replied with a smile. There's no need to rush. It doesn't matter if we work a little less. Besides, it's not like there's no one else working in your house. Liang Jinyu's mouth twitched. In fact, she didn't want to trouble Zhao Yun's family. If she stayed for too long, she didn't know what would happen later. She came to Zhao Yun's place, gave the gift money, and saw her family. That was enough. Yuner, I can't rest assured if I'm not at home. I'm afraid that they won't do a good job. Liang Jinyu made up an excuse with a guilty conscience. You have to wait until lunch before you go back. You can't just come for a while and leave without resting, right? Zhao Yun continued to persuade him to stay. Yuner. I've already eaten. Don't stay to eat. Zhao Yuner didn't believe it. Aunt, I think you ate breakfast. You spent a lot of time on the road. It's definitely not lunch. It's still early. Seeing that her lie was exposed, Liang Jinyu was very embarrassed. She waved her hand at Zhao Yuner and said, Yuner, in fact, you don't have to go through so much trouble, and you don't have to be so polite. Otherwise, I'll be angry. Zhao Yuner said very seriously with a straight face. Old Madame Liang also persuaded, Yuer, it's not easy to come here. Stay a little longer before you go back. Take a break from the work at home. You're so thin because of work. If you go on like this, how can your body hold up? Liang Jinyu couldn't refuse anymore. She smiled and said, well, then I'll stay for lunch. I'll go back after eating. I can also chat with mother more. Chapter 1731. She had to bear a lot of responsibility for her daughter's current situation. She had made a mistake in choosing a good husband. Otherwise, she wouldn't have to work so hard now. Now that she was old and her husband had passed away, even if she wanted to help her daughter live a better life, she was powerless. Auntie, you guys chat. I'll go cook. Zhao Yuner smiled and greeted her. Liang Jinyu couldn't sit still and quickly followed Zhao Yuner. Yuner, I have nothing to do anyway. Why don't you go help out in the kitchen? See if there's anything you can order me around for. Zhao Yuner quickly waved her hand. It's okay, Auntie. My mother and I can handle it. You just sit down and rest. Liang Jinyu said, we can handle it if we're busy, but it's always good to have someone to help. It can cook faster. Liang Jinfen agreed. That's right. Yuner, why don't you let your auntie help out? You've been cooking for so long and still haven't finished. We're already hungry. After waiting for such a long time, we're very tired. Our stomachs are empty and we're starving. Zhao Yuner couldn't help but roll her eyes. She didn't know how Liang Jinfen had the nerve to say such a thing. He sat on the chair and didn't move at all. Now, he had the nerve to order Liang Jinyu to help. With such a comparison, Zhao Yuner felt that her auntie was the best in the whole family. The others were just waiting to eat. Who would think of helping out? Especially Liang Jinfen, who said such a strange thing. Zhao Yuner sneered. Second auntie, you've been rushing for a long time and are tired. Isn't auntie tired as well? If I remember correctly, auntie's house is even farther than your house. Liang Jinfen didn't know that his words had hit the nail on the head so quickly. Zhao Yuner's temper flared up again. I was just saying. I didn't say that your aunt must help. Liang Jinfen grumbled. Zhao Yuner glanced coldly at Liang Jinfen. Then, she said to Liang Jinyu, Auntie, don't worry. The dishes will be ready soon. I don't need your help. Alright then. Liang Jinyu no longer insisted. She felt that her two sisters-in-law were looking at her with some displeasure. In fact, this was indeed the case. Liang Jinyu's eagerness to help, wasn't it to make the rest of them look lazy? Only Liang Jinyu wanted to help, but they didn't. Zhao Yuner took the things and went back to the kitchen to work. She could have prepared less food. Now that her second auntie's family and auntie were here, she was afraid that there wouldn't be enough food. Her second auntie brought her husband and daughter over. Zhao Yuner knew that Liang Jinfen deliberately wanted more people to eat and drink. Her auntie, on the other hand, was too honest. This time, she came alone. It was this kind of honest and kind-hearted people who were easy to bully. Looking at the Liang family's attitude towards Liang Jinyu, Zhao Yuner was a little angry. They were all snobbish. When her family was poor, they were also treated like this. Later on, she must help her auntie's family become rich. When her auntie's family earned enough money to build a big house like hers, these people would probably change their attitude. In this day and age, face was often fought for. Chapter 1732. After a while, he would set up the pigsty and wait for his aunt's family to finish their farm work. Then, he could start his pig-rearing plan. In this day and age, if people were diligent and used their brains, their lives would definitely not be too bad. She couldn't stand the other members of the Liang family, so she had to help her aunt. Zhao Yun didn't want the Liang family to stay in her house for too long. It was better for them to leave as soon as they finished eating. She sped up and stirred the vegetables in the wok. After a while, Zhao Yun brought the piping hot dishes into the hall. Yun, girl, are the dishes ready? Liang Jinfen couldn't wait to ask. Zhao Yun ignored him, but Liang Jinxiao, who followed behind her, responded, yes, second sister. The dishes are ready. I'll bring them over to eat now. Liang Jinfen's face lit up when he heard that the dishes were ready to eat. He knew that the dishes would definitely be delicious just by smelling the aroma. The most important thing was that there was meat. One had to know that to the villagers, meat was too precious. They could only eat it once in a while. This time, they had meat to eat at Zhao Yun's house. It was enough to satisfy their cravings. Big sister, I'll help serve the dishes. It was rare for Liang Jinfen to be so attentive. Liang Jinyu had been diligent just now, so she had to do the same this time. Otherwise, people would say that she was too lazy and didn't do anything. Otherwise, it would be embarrassing to eat later. Of course, the most important thing was that she could eat earlier and quickly serve the dishes on the table. How could Zhao Yun not see through Liang Jinfen's intentions? He wasn't enthusiastic when he was working, but no one was more anxious than her when it came to serving the dishes. This kind of person was really disgusting. Zhao Yun rolled her eyes but didn't say anything. No need, second aunt, just sit down. Your body is precious, so I don't dare to trouble you to do it. Zhao Yun said sarcastically. Liang Jinfen smiled awkwardly. What are you talking about? It's just serving dishes. It's not that tiring, Liang Jinxiao comforted her. It's all right, second sister. Just sit down and rest. You don't have to serve the dishes. All right then. Liang Jinfen replied bitterly. It was one thing to not let her serve the dishes, but she was too lazy to stand up and run errands. She didn't know how to appreciate favors. After Zhao Yuner and Liang Jinxiao went to the kitchen, Liang Jinxiao couldn't help but remind Zhao Yuner. Hey, Yuner, don't argue with your second aunt. Zhao Yuner pursed her lips. I just can't stand seeing her like that. Mother, don't give in to her later. Liang Jinxiao sighed. After all, Liang Jinfen was her younger sister. She couldn't treat her badly. Zhao Yuner was also very clear about her likes and dislikes. If she didn't like something, she would show her displeasure. Her second sister was indeed a little embarrassed just now. Zhao Yuner and Liang Jinxiao neatly served all the dishes to the table. There were more than 10 dishes in total, which was more than enough to eat. The Liang family and Liang Jinfen's family stared at the dishes on the table with shining eyes. How could they eat so well? The dishes on the table were not inferior to the usual banquets. Zhao Wenhua gestured to everyone in the house. Everyone, sit down at the table. Let's eat. Everyone in the house gathered around the table and took their seats. Fortunately, Zhao Yuner's table was very big. Otherwise, it would be impossible for everyone to sit at the table. Although it was a little crowded, eating at the table was better than standing. Chapter 1733. Fortunately, these people did not have to stay in his house for long. After serving them in the afternoon, they quickly left. After everyone in the house sat down, Liang Xinyue's disgusted voice sounded. I want to change seats. Everyone looked at Liang Xinyue. They did not know why Liang Xinyue suddenly said that. Yue, what's wrong? Wu Zhenju asked with concern. Liang Xinyue frowned and stood up from the stool. I don't want to sit with Auntie. Auntie smells so strong. It stinks. Liang Xinyue was very direct. She did not care about Liang Jinyu's face at all. Her eyes revealed undisguised disdain. As she spoke, Liang Xinyue even pinched her nose, looking as if she did not want to smell Liang Jinyu's scent. Liang Jinyu's face immediately turned red when she heard Liang Xinyue's words. She was naturally embarrassed that she was called smelly. However, Liang Xinyue was not talking nonsense. Liang Jinyu's scent was indeed very strong. Because she had been busy working and went out in the morning, she was covered in sweat. Her clothes were soaked by her sweat. Moreover, she had rushed over for such a long time. Now that she was covered in the smell of sweat, most people would not be able to stand it. Liang Xinyue was a girl who did not do much work. She was a clean person. It was normal that Liang Xinyue could not stand the smell of sweat on her body. Liang Jinfen mocked Liang Jinyu. Her eyes were filled with disdain. Isn't that so? I smelled it when I walked in. It was indeed very smelly. Third sister, you should have been more careful when you came out. If you were in this house, it would have been fine. But now that you're out here, you're smelling other people. Liang Jinyu was even more embarrassed. She smiled embarrassedly and said, Second sister, I didn't do it on purpose. I left in a hurry today and did not change my clothes before coming over. Sigh, poor people are poor. Liang Jinfen rolled her eyes at Liang Jinyu and pinched her nose like Liang Xinyue. Old Madame Liang glanced at Liang Xinyue and Liang Jinfen and said, Don't talk nonsense. It's obvious that you've sweated a lot to create this smell. It's very hot now. How can you not sweat when you go out to work? Lass, you're not used to hardships. Later, I'll let you work in the fields. You'll get used to the smell after you sweat. Guocaixia echoed, That's right. Xinyue is too delicate. We are all countrymen. How can we not stand the smell of sweat? We are not the daughters of rich families. We are used to the smell of perfume. Liang Xinyue glared at Guocaixia. She knew that Guocaixia was deliberately scolding her. Liang Jinhui was embarrassed and scolded Liang Xinyue, You're a big girl and still don't know how to behave. After all, your aunt is your elder. How can you talk to her like that? Hurry up and sit down. There are no other seats here. It's very crowded when all of us sit together. Where can you sit if you don't sit next to your aunt? Liang Xinyue muttered unhappily, Then who's going to change seats with me? I won't sit next to my aunt. The smell makes me uncomfortable. I won't be able to eat later. Liang Jinyu's face became even more embarrassed. She said apologetically, Second brother, how about I stand and you sit down? The smell on my body is really too strong. It's affecting your meal. Chapter 1734. Zhao Yun'er coldly glanced at Liang Xinyue. What a thing. Sure enough, Liang Xinyue and Wu Zhenzhu had the same temperament. Like mother, like daughter, like daughter. They had no manners at all. Liang Xinyue was a little flustered by Zhao Yun'er's cold gaze. She muttered, Why are you looking at me like that? Zhao Yun'er chuckled and replied, I'm thinking about how some people can be so thick-skinned. Liang Xinyue wasn't a fool. She naturally understood that Zhao Yun'er was saying that she was thick-skinned. Zhao Yun'er continued, This is my home. Little aunt is my elder. She must sit and eat. If you can't get used to the smell of little aunt and can't eat, then don't eat. Liang Xinyue bit her lower lip angrily. She didn't expect Zhao Yun'er to be so protective of Liang Jinyu. Wasn't she just a poor ghost? Her body was so smelly. Zhao Yun'er must be deliberately going against her. She just casually said it so that Liang Jinyu could leave or change seats. It was impossible for her not to eat. At this moment, her stomach was in a panic. With a table full of good dishes, she had already begun to swallow her saliva. After being scolded by Zhao Yun'er, Liang Xinyue could only swallow her anger and no longer speak. Seeing that Liang Xinyue finally stopped, Zhao Yun'er coldly hooked up the corner of her mouth and snorted. Ai. Liang Jinyu sighed. She still felt that it was her fault. So, she discussed with Zhao Yun'er, Yun'er girl, how about I change seats? You're a girl probably can't get used to the smell. You're, come to mother. Old Madame Liang called out to Liang Jinyu. Others disdained Liang Jinyu. As a mother, she couldn't disdain her own daughter. Moreover, he shouldn't have despised it in the first place. Liang Jinyu replied, "Yes, mother." As Liang Jinyu spoke, she changed her position and landed beside Liang Jinxiao. After this change, Liang Shizi suffered. On Liang Jinyu's left was old Madame Liang, and on her right was Liang Xinzi. Now that Liang Xinzi smelled the strong scent on Liang Jinyu's body, she frowned. She cursed Liang Xinyue in her heart. If it weren't for her, she wouldn't be so unlucky. However, Liang Xinyue was a bit more sensible than Liang Xinyue. Even though she was unhappy, she could only endure it and not say anything. Otherwise, the elders would say that she and Liang Xinyue were just as immature. Other than her looks, which part of her was inferior to Liang Xinyue? Which part of her was inferior to Liang Xinyue? Seeing Liang Xinzi sitting next to Liang Jinyu, Liang Xinyue was secretly pleased. She would let her cousin smell the stench on her aunt. Her expression of being unable to speak of her bitterness was really pleasing. "Yuner girl, go call the heir out for dinner." Zhao Wenhua called out to Zhao Yuner. Zhao Yuner nodded, and, "Father, I'll go now." Liang Xinyue and Liang Xinzi's eyes immediately lit up when they heard that the heir apparent had come out to eat. Their eyes were filled with anticipation. When they thought of Mu Yanfeng's handsome face, the two girls shyly lowered their heads. Zhao Yuner went into the room to call Mu Yanfeng out. Once they arrived in the hall, Liang Xinyue and Liang Xinzi's eyes involuntarily fell on Mu Yanfeng. When Zhao Yuner saw this, she couldn't help but shake her head. What happened to the modesty of ancient girls? She didn't see it from her two cousins. Chapter 1735. When Mu Yanfeng saw that the table was full, he asked Zhao Yuner, "Yuner, where do you think I should sit?" He would naturally sit wherever Zhao Yuner arranged for him to sit. "Heir apparent, I have a seat here. Come and sit." Liang Xinyue could not wait to greet Mu Yanfeng. She looked at Mu Yanfeng with sparkling eyes full of anticipation. Liang Xinyue blurted out without thinking. She did not realize how embarrassing it was for a young lady like her to say such words. Mu Yanfeng only glanced at Liang Xinyue indifferently and did not say anything. Zhao Yuner looked at Liang Xinyue with displeasure. It seemed that this younger cousin of hers had thoughts about her man that she should not have. Now, she was shamelessly saying such words. Liang Xinyue did not know how her parents taught her. Liang Xinyue secretly cursed Liang Xinyue in her heart. She was too shameless. She was a vixen who wanted to seduce people. Guocaixia teased and said to Wu Zhenju, "Second brother, your Xinyue girl is really interesting. Isn't she a bit too direct? Isn't she afraid of scaring heir apparent?" When Wu Zhenju saw that Guocaixia was mocking him, he glared at Liang Xinyue, "You lass, don't you watch your words? You're a young lady, yet you don't know shame." Liang Xinyue's ears turned red and she muttered, "Mother, I just happened to have a seat next to me, so I let heir apparent have a seat." Liang Xiaofei opened his mouth in pain and shouted, "Sister, you're obviously a love-struck fool. You don't know shame." Liang Xinyue could not help but glare at Liang Xiaofei. If they were not separated by a table, she would have already punched Liang Xiaofei. "What are you talking about? Do you believe that I will tear your mouth apart if you keep talking nonsense?" Liang Xiaofei was so frightened by Liang Xinyue that he trembled and hurriedly complained to Wu Zhenju, "Mother, look at elder sister. She's bullying me like this. I'm just telling the truth. Why can't I tell the truth?" Wu Zhenju was very protective of his son. How could he allow his son to be bullied by his daughter? He reprimanded Liang Xinyue, "What kind of sister are you? You only know how to bully your younger brother. Xiaofei's mouth is already like this, and you still want to continue beating him. Mother, I think you're biased. You only know how to protect him." Liang Xinyue stomped her feet. Liang Jinhui felt even more embarrassed and said sternly, "That's enough, that's enough. Are you done yet? If you keep arguing, don't eat anymore. Get out." Liang Xinyue and Wu Zhenju finally stopped talking. When the people in the room quieted down, Mu Lianfeng continued to ask Zhao Yun, where should I sit? Liang Xinyue's heart sank. The heir apparent was a man of noble status. Shouldn't he be allowed to sit wherever he wanted? Why did he still have to ask for Zhao Yun's opinion? Zhao Yun glanced at Liang Xinyue. She was not so stupid as to push her man to her side. Zhao Yun thought for a moment, then said to Mu Lianfeng, you can sit next to my little aunt. It was a good opportunity to separate Liang Shizi, so that Liang Shizi wouldn't dislike her little aunt. Okay. Mu Lianfeng smiled gently and walked to Liang Jinyu's side. He sat down next to Liang Jinyu. Liang Xinyue and Liang Shizi were slightly stunned. Chapter 1736. As for Liang Xinzi, she was overwhelmed by the favor and felt that happiness had come too suddenly. The Shizi was actually sitting next to her. Liang Xinzi's heart was restless. She felt as if her heart was about to burst out. The fragrant smell of Mu Lianfeng's body entered Liang Xinzi's nostrils. Liang Xinzi was intoxicated by this smell. Not only was the Shizi handsome, his body also smelled so good. If she could be with this kind of man, how good would it be? Although it was impossible now, at least she was sitting next to Mu Lianfeng and had the opportunity to interact with him. Liang Xinzi's heart felt as if it had been smeared with honey. The corners of her mouth could not help but raise into a smile. She was somewhat glad that she did not say anything earlier. Otherwise, if she and Liang Xinyue had switched seats, wouldn't she have lost this opportunity to interact with the Shizi? As expected, good people have good karma. This was a reward given to her by the heavens. Liang Xinyue saw Liang Xinzi's expression and angrily gritted her teeth. She secretly cursed Liang Xinzi's wishful thinking. She was so ugly. So what if she was sitting next to the Shizi? Could it be that the Shizi would take a fancy to an ugly woman like her? It was simply wishful thinking. Zhao Yun did not have a good time eating this meal. There were too many annoying flies. They circled around in front of her, making her very annoyed. Mu Lianfeng saw Zhao Yun's annoyance and curled the corners of his mouth. He faintly smiled. Seeing that Zhao Yun did not have much food in her bowl, he attentively helped Zhao Yun pick up some food. Yun, eat more. Mu Lianfeng gently said. His gentle and affectionate appearance was a stark contrast to when he was angry because of Daodu's beating. Liang Xinyue and Liang Xinzi looked at Zhao Yun with envy. She was actually able to receive such treatment from Mu Lianfeng. Liang Xinyue tasted the delicious dishes on the table. Her eyes were like Mu Lianfeng's. As soon as she saw Mu Lianfeng's deep affection for Zhao Yun, she looked away in jealousy. She really couldn't figure out why Mu Lianfeng, who had such a noble status and good conditions, would fancy Zhao Yun. Although Zhao Yun looks delicate and pretty, isn't she old? How could she compare to someone as young as her? Was it because Zhao Yun had given birth to Mu Lianfeng's child? Zhao Yun glanced at Liang Xinyue indifferently. She knew what this little b*tch was thinking. However, what Zhao Yun couldn't figure out was why so many people didn't know their own limits. They didn't know what kind of person they were, yet they actually coveted her man. You eat too. Zhao Yun said. She picked up some meat and put it into Mu Lianfeng's bowl. Mu Lianfeng smiled and replied, okay. The affectionate interaction between the two of them made the girls at the table jealous. Zhao Yun used this to declare her sovereignty. Her man was someone that others shouldn't covet. She and Mu Lianfeng's relationship was something that ordinary people shouldn't even think about interfering with. After lunch, the Liang family rested at Zhao Yun's house, but they didn't have any intention of leaving. Zhao Yun couldn't chase them away. After all, they were guests. If she chased them away, they would say that she was rude. She could only let the Liang family continue to be an eyesore in front of her. The first to leave was Liang Jinyu. She had to go back to work, so Zhao Yun didn't stay for long. The sun is very hot. We have to wait for the sun to go down before we leave. Otherwise, we will starve to death on the way. Liang Jinfen muttered to herself. Chapter 1737. The weather is getting hotter and hotter now. Sigh, the tough days are coming. It was better in the winter. After all, they just had to wear more clothes and cover themselves with more blankets. However, in the summer, they had to wear more clothes. There were too few ways to lower their temperature and they couldn't find any. In the summer, especially during the summer, the weather was even hotter, especially during the summer. Basically, it was impossible to sleep well at night until it was summer. Sometimes, they could only move their beds out or spread a mat on the ground and rely on the night breeze to sleep. However, there were many mosquitoes outside. After the mosquitoes bit them, they would be awakened by the itch. No matter what, they wouldn't be able to sleep well at night. Unfortunately, summer was the busiest time for farming. Most of the work was done during the day. They were tired during the day and couldn't sleep well at night. It was very uncomfortable. When Liang Jinxiao heard their words, she could only smile and let them sit down to rest. They could leave when the sun went down a little. It was indeed inappropriate for her to chase them away now. Eldest sister, I think the mung bean soup is quite delicious. Why don't we ask Yun, to cook some for us later? Drink some mung bean soup before you go. You won't be so tired on the way. Wu Zhenju and Liang Jinxiao pleaded. Although they had a good lunch with fish and meat, their appetite was affected in the summer. Wu Zhenju missed the mung bean soup even more. Liang Jinxiao's mouth twitched a little awkwardly. If she could do it herself and didn't need to trouble Zhao Yun, she could cook some for them. However, she had to let Zhao Yun, do it. Liang Jinxiao knew that Zhao Yun, was more annoyed by these relatives. How could she help to cook mung bean soup? It would be a good thing if she didn't chase these people out now. When Liang Jinfen heard about mung bean soup and sweets, her eyes lit up. What, there's mung bean soup? I didn't drink it. Can you make some for me? Drinking some mung bean soup now will definitely make me happy. Liang Jinxiao felt even more embarrassed. Before Liang Jinxiao could reply, Zhao Yuner came over and rolled her eyes at the two greedy women. Did I not treat you well at noon? Still thinking of drinking mung bean soup? Hee hee. Dream on. Wu Zhenju and Liang Jinfen looked a little embarrassed. Liang Jinfen said shamelessly, we are guests. What's wrong with asking for something to eat? Why are your words so unpleasant to hear? Zhao Yuna replied in annoyance, you don't like it? If you don't like it, you can scram. You. Liang Jinfen was furious. She was Zhao Yuner's elder. How could she talk to her like that? Now that he was asking her to scram, wouldn't she be tanned to death? Especially her daughter, Su Lady, who was fair and tender. If she went out in the sun, wouldn't she get tanned? In order to continue resting, Liang Jinfen could only swallow her anger. Mother, we're holding the banquet tomorrow. Let's take care of the dishes now so that we won't be too busy tomorrow. Zhao Yuner called out to Liang Jinxiao. Other than wanting Liang Jinxiao to work, she also wanted Liang Jinxiao to ignore these weird relatives. Without Liang Jinxiao in front of them, they naturally couldn't ask for anything. Liang Jinxiao responded, okay, mother will come right away. After talking to Zhao Yuner, Liang Jinxiao called out to the Liang family, mother, eldest brother, eldest sister-in-law, second brother, second sister-in-law, please have a seat. I'll go out to work first. Chapter 1738. That's right, eldest sister. Don't worry about us. Liang Jinshun said with a smile. Okay. Liang Jinxiao and Zhao Yun left the house and went to the courtyard to clean up the vegetables they bought. The house had just been built and there were no big trees in the house. There was no place to shade in the courtyard. Zhao Wenhua built a simple shed so that it would not be too sunny. Zhao Yun and Liang Jinxiao moved stools and sat down to get busy. Seeing the Liang family sitting in the house one by one like ancestors, Zhao Yun could not help but sigh. These people clearly heard that her family needed help, but no one came out to help. What kind of damn relatives were they? Zhao Yun did not really expect them to do anything. She just felt uncomfortable in her heart. If their relatives saw that her family was so busy, they would more or less lend a hand, right? Liang Jinxiao saw Zhao Yun's unhappy face and knew what Zhao Yun was thinking. She sighed slightly. She also felt that her relatives were not very good. What could she do? They were all her relatives. She could not admit it, right? Yun, after we finish our work tomorrow, we can rest for a while. Liang Jinxiao said with a smile. Yes. Zhao Yun nodded in response. After finishing the banquet, she did not have much to do. She just had to arrange to build a pigsty and tidy up her barren hill. She would wait until the end of autumn to plant tea trees. It would not be easy to plant tea trees in summer. Yun, is there anything I can do? Mu Lianfeng walked in front of Zhao Yun, and asked Zhao Yun, Liang Jinxiao hurriedly waved his hand. Lord Heir, you can rest. There's nothing we need your help with. Liang Jinxiao felt that with Mu Lianfeng's status, he should not be busy with such menial work. It did not match Mu Lianfeng's status. Mu Lianfeng smiled and said, It's okay, Auntie. I'm just resting. How long will you and Yuner be busy? It will definitely be faster if you lend a hand. Liang Jinxiao frowned and hesitated for a moment. It seemed that he did not want to trouble Mu Lianfeng. Zhao Yuner commanded, Mu Lianfeng, my father went to work in the fields. There doesn't seem to be much water left in the water tank at home. Go to the river and bring some back. It was impossible to count on her two uncles. It would be strange if those two lazy fellows helped her family. Women's physical strength was not good enough to carry water back home, so Zhao Wenhuo was the one who carried the water back home. It would probably use a lot of water to wash the vegetables today. When the banquet was held tomorrow, it would use even more water. It was necessary to fill the water tank with water now. Okay, Yuner, I'll go now. Mu Lianfeng rushed into the kitchen eagerly and carried 2 wooden buckets out. Although the way Mu Lianfeng carried the buckets did not match his temperament, it was obvious that Mu Lianfeng was very happy to do it. Before Liang Jinxiao could stop him, Mu Lianfeng rushed out of the courtyard. Liang Jinxiao opened his mouth and turned to Zhao Yuner. He could not help but say to Zhao Yuner, Lass Yuner, how could you let Lord Heir work? Zhao Yuner knew that Liang Jinxiao said that because of Mu Lianfeng's status. It was indeed beneath the dignity of a dignified Lord Heir to come to her house to do menial work like carrying water. However, it was clearly Mu Lianfeng who wanted to help. She did not force him. Chapter 1739. Zhao Yun said indifferently. Liang Jinxiao sighed and said, although that's the case, he is still the heir of the crown prince. He is usually served by others. How can we let him work? If this spreads, people will say that we are disrespectful to the heir of the crown prince. Zhao Yun's mouth twitched. She knew that the concept of hierarchy in this era was very deep. It was difficult for her to change Liang Jinxiao's mind. She could only say to Liang Jinxiao, Mother, he is the heir of the crown prince. In any case, he is also your son-in-law. Can't a mother-in-law order her son-in-law to do some work? Liang Jinxiao fell silent. From this point of view, it was indeed not a big deal. It was normal for a mother-in-law to order her son-in-law to do work. Little girl Yun, what you said makes sense, anyway, it's nothing. If he is willing to do it, I won't order him around. Mother, don't you think so? Liang Jinxiao nodded. Yes, but you should order him around less. The heir of the crown prince also has work to do. If you can avoid troubling the heir of the crown prince, try not to trouble him. I know, Mother. The mother and daughter chatted as they walked. However, someone deliberately ran up to Zhao Yun, and criticized Zhao Yun, Cousin, how can you do this? Zhao Yun, looked up and saw that it was Liang Xinyue. Zhao Yun, was a little confused when she saw Liang Xinyue's angry expression. She asked indifferently, what did I do? Liang Xinyue's face darkened and she said angrily, it's not like you don't know the heir of the crown prince's status. How can you let the heir of the crown prince do manual work like carrying water? Aren't you afraid of exhausting the heir of the crown prince? Who do you think you are? Zhao Yun was even more confused. It seemed that her cousin was worried about Mu Lianfeng doing manual work. But shouldn't Mu Lianfeng be the one feeling sorry for him? Since when was it another woman's turn to feel heartache? Wasn't her cousin worrying too much? To put it bluntly, he was a busybody. Zhao Yun'er sneered and replied disdainfully, my man will do whatever I tell him to do. Since when is it someone else's turn to control him? Liang Xinyue's face instantly darkened. She angrily said to Zhao Yun'er, you, shameless. Zhao Yun'er's eyes flashed with coldness, and she questioned coldly, cousin, you can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. Tell me clearly, how am I shameless? Shouldn't you be the shameless one? The moment you came to my house, you stared at my man. Now that you're ordering my man to do some work, you come running over with a distressed expression. What are you trying to do? Liang Xinyue was so ashamed by Zhao Yun'er that she couldn't show her face. She really couldn't stand Zhao Yun'er ordering Mu Lianfeng around, so she came running over to complain. Of course, she was more jealous. Mu Lianfeng was such an excellent man, but he didn't even want to look at her. Why did he have a special liking for Zhao Yun'er? He was even willing to do this kind of rough work. She was also an impatient person and liked to speak her mind when she was unhappy. She directly ran over to Zhao Yun'er and said this to Zhao Yun'er. Liang Xinyue gulped and continued to criticize, of course you're shameless. How can you say that the heir of the crown prince is your man? Are the two of you married? Can a country girl like you become the heir of the crown prince? Since you're nothing, how can you say that the heir of the crown prince is your man? Chapter 1740. If Zhao Yun'er and Mu Lianfeng were to get married, the wedding would definitely be held in a grand manner. As Zhao Yun'er's relatives, how could they not attend? When Zhao Ping got married to that poor man, her wedding was still held in a grand manner. Moreover, if she were to marry the heir of the crown prince, the wedding would be held in public. Furthermore, the heir of the crown prince's status was that of a prestigious aristocrat. In ancient times, people were particular about matching in social status. It would be strange if the heir of the crown prince's household would agree to it when Zhao Yun'er was just a country bumpkin. Zhao Yun would definitely not marry Mu Lianfeng. In that case, how could Mu Lianfeng be considered as Zhao Yun'er's man? Zhao Yun'er's eyes narrowed into a long and narrow arc. It could be seen that her cousin was very jealous and unhappy with her. However, she was still too inexperienced to play tricks in front of her. Cousin, are you here to show off your intelligence in front of me? I've already given birth to a child with the heir of the crown prince. If he's not my man, then is he your man? Liang Xinyue's face flushed red as she tried to explain to Zhao Yun'er, so what if you gave birth to a child? It's just a shameful affair. Who knows, the heir of the crown prince's household might not acknowledge it. You can only accept it if you hold a wedding. Otherwise, you'll just be the heir of the crown prince's mistress outside. You can't even be considered as a concubine. After Liang Xinyue finished speaking, Zhao Yun'er's eyes were filled with coldness. As expected, this little whore liked to stir up trouble. She was still too gentle and did not fear her at all. Although Liang Xinyue's words were not without reason, and if they did not hold a wedding, she would not have a status. In the eyes of outsiders, she would be a shameful mistress outside. However, this was a matter between her and Mu Lianfeng. Who was it for others to judge? Zhao Yun'er walked up to Liang Xinyue and slapped her in the face. The sound was so loud that Liang Xinyue was stunned. She didn't expect that Zhao Yun would hit her. Then, a red handprint appeared on Liang Xinyue's face, and she felt a burning pain on her face. You hit me. Liang Xinyue's voice trembled as she glared at Zhao Yun'er with red eyes. Ever since she was young, she had never been beaten. At most, Her parents would scold her a little when they were angry, but Zhao Yun'er directly hit her. So what if I hit you? Your parents don't know how to educate you, so I'll help teach you a lesson. Zhao Yun'er snorted coldly, full of aura. The aura emanating from his body intimidated Liang Xinyue so much that she didn't dare to say anything. When they heard the noise outside, the Liang family ran out to see what was going on. When Wu Zhenzhu saw that Liang Xinyue's face was red from the slap, he immediately ran to Liang Xinyue and said to Liang Xinyue, what happened to your face? When Wu Zhenzhu asked this, Liang Xinyue suddenly felt wronged. She leaned on Wu Zhenzhu's shoulder and cried, sob sob sob, mother, cousin hit me. The handprint on Liang Xinyue's face was very obvious. It was obvious that Zhao Yun didn't hold back. Why is she like this? Wu Zhenzhu complained unhappily, then looked at Zhao Yun. Wu Zhenzhu's protective nature made him forget his previous fear of Zhao Yun. What did you do? You hit my Yu until she's like this. Aren't you too cruel? Chapter 1741. Mother, I'm not spouting nonsense. It's true that Master Shitzi didn't marry her in the first place. They didn't even hold the wedding. She said that Master Shitzi is her man. Liang Xinyue hid behind Wu Zhenzhu and grumbled pitifully. When Wu Zhenzhu heard Liang Xinyue's words, he frowned and tried to reason with Zhao Yun'er. Yun'er lass, my Yue really didn't spout nonsense. You and Master Shitzi are holding a wedding. This isn't legitimate. Why aren't you telling others? Zhao Yun'er frowned and cursed in her heart. These weirdos were going to make a fuss in front of her again. When would she be able to have peace and quiet around her? When Liang Jinfen heard Liang Xinyue and Wu Zhenzhu's words, she immediately stepped in to help. She had always liked to stir up trouble. Furthermore, she was unhappy with Zhao Yun'er. Naturally, she wanted to blow up this matter. That's right, Yun'er lass. Yue lass only said a few words of truth. Look at you, you still beat her up. It's indeed your fault for beating her up like this. In my opinion, you should quickly apologize to Yue lass and compensate Yue with something so that Yue can nourish her body. When Liang Jinfen finished speaking, there was a hint of schadenfreude in her eyes. She stole a few glances at Zhao Yun'er. Wu Zhenzhu looked at Liang Jinfen gratefully. Second younger sister is still the best. She spoke the truth on behalf of us. Liang Jinfen smiled and waved her hand. I'm just trying to be fair. I'm looking at it from the perspective of others. Zhao Yun'er only felt that it was laughable. How was this fair? She still wanted her to apologize to Liang Xinyue. What a fool's dream. Did he really think that she was a soft bun that he could bully as he pleased? The crown prince hasn't even said anything yet, and you're already casually discussing it. Don't tell me you don't deserve to be beaten. So what if they didn't have a wedding now? Who says I won't do it in the future? Who are you to interrupt? Zhao Yun'er said coldly. Yun'er girl, you're being unreasonable. Liang Jinfen grumbled, then gave Liang Jinxiao a look. Big sister, why don't you educate your Yun'er? What's wrong with a few words between relatives? Even if there's something wrong, there's no need to treat you that way, right? Liang Jinxiao felt that Liang Xinyue had slapped Liang Xinyue a little too hard, but Liang Xinyue had asked for it. Not only was Yun'er angry, but she was also angry. What did he mean by not having a proper marriage? What did he mean by being a mistress? What did he mean by being inferior to a concubine? Her Yun'er was together with the crown prince, and the crown prince had already decided that it was proper. He was speaking as if her daughter was really shameful. Hence, Liang Jinxiao replied, second sister, if Xinyue didn't talk about Yun'er, would Yun'er have given that slap properly? How can we casually discuss the crown prince's matters? It's a good thing that the crown prince didn't hear it. If he heard it, this slap probably wouldn't be able to settle it. I'm afraid that Xinyue wouldn't be able to take it. Zhao Yun'er saw that Liang Jinxiao finally didn't continue to be sarcastic this time, and she was more or less comforted. How good would it be if her mother continued to be like this in the future? When there were many people, one couldn't be cowardly. Only by having a strong aura would one not be bullied by others. Liang Jinxiao's words made Wu Zhenju and Liang Xinyue a little scared. At the mention of Mu Yanfeng, they couldn't help but feel afraid. Chapter 1742. It seemed that the matter could not be blown out of proportion, lest Mu Yanfeng find out and fly into a rage. They would not be able to handle it. Although the slap was painful, they could only swallow the pain and not say it out loud. Seeing that Liang Xinyue and Wu Zhenju had quietened down, Zhao Yuner smiled and reminded them out of goodwill, "Cousin Yuer, be careful of what you say next time. It's fine at home, but no one will give in to you outside. Who knows if your mouth will be torn apart next time." Liang Xinyue's heart trembled. She was not reconciled, but she did not dare to settle the score with Zhao Yuner. All right, let's not talk about it anymore. It's not good to hurt the harmony of the family when we're together. Guocaixia became the peacemaker and tried to mediate, but a trace of schadenfreude flashed across her eyes. She felt an indescribable comfort in her heart when she saw Liang Xinyue being slapped by Zhao Yuner. Liang Xinzi and Guocaixia were the same. They stood not far away and could not help but laugh secretly. They secretly scolded Liang Xinyue for asking for it. She was used to thinking highly of herself. Now that she had suffered a loss, she had to learn her lesson. Wu Zhenju and Liang Xinyue finally left. Zhao Yuner retracted the sharpness in her eyes as she watched the two of them leave. Since they were tactful, she had no reason to hold on to them. What she could not understand was why some people were so tactless. They clearly knew that they were going to be taught a lesson, but they still insisted on coming over. After the weirdos left, Liang Jinxiao's eyes were full of worry. Seeing Liang Jinxiao like this, Zhao Yuner could not help but ask, "Mother, what's wrong?" Liang Jinxiao sighed and explained, "Actually, Mother was thinking about what Yuer said just now. Yuner, look, it's not a good idea for you to be with His Highness like this. Although the heir apparent treats you well, you don't have a status yet, so people like to talk about you behind your back." She even said that she was a mistress, In ancient times, mistresses were looked down upon the most. They were even worse than concubines. In any case, a concubine would still be able to live in the mansion and have a status, but a mistress would not be considered anything. Spittle could drown a person to death. Who would like to hear other people talk about such things? No matter what, having a wedding was always a good thing. In the future, Zhao Yuner and Mu Yanfeng would be together, at least no one would talk about it. Zhao Yuner frowned slightly. How could she not know what Liang Jinxiao was thinking? "Mother, don't worry. The wedding will be held. It won't take long." Zhao Yuner reassured Liang Jinxiao. "Really, Yuner? Of course it's true. Mother, why would I lie to you about such things?" Liang Jinxiao's face suddenly bloomed with a smile, and she muttered, That's good. Zhao Yuner shook her head. If people in this era did not care about status, she did not care whether she and Mu Yanfeng had a wedding or not. She did not care before, but now she felt that she had to marry Mu Yanfeng as soon as possible for Daoda's future legitimacy. She did not know when the emperor's imperial edict would arrive. It was reasonable to say that the efficiency should not be so low. Someone should have sent it over long ago. After a while, Mu Yanfeng came back with 2 buckets of water. Zhao Yuner told Mu Yanfeng to rest first before going. Mu Yanfeng shook his head and said, "No need, Yuner, I'm not tired." Wasn't it just 2 buckets of water? He was a man, so what was this little thing in front of him? Chapter 1743. Not long after Mu Yanfeng left, Zhao Yuner's other cousin, Liang Xinzi, arrived in front of Zhao Yuner and said to Zhao Yuner, "Cousin Yuner, is there any work you need me to do? I happen to be free, so why don't you come and help?" Zhao Yuner sized up Liang Xinzi. She didn't know if this cousin of hers really wanted to come and help, or if she was just pretending. "No need, cousin. You sit and rest." Zhao Yuner thought about it, but still refused. Cousin, there are so many vegetables in your house. The two of you must have been busy for a long time. Let me help too. This time, Liang Xinzi didn't ask for Zhao Yun'er's opinion. She squatted down and began to tidy up the vegetables on the ground. Zhao Yun'er didn't stop her when she saw this, and allowed Liang Xinzi to help. She could only hope that she didn't have any bad intentions. Otherwise, she might end up worse than Liang Xinyue. After working for more than half an hour, Mu Lianfeng finally filled the water tank to the brim. Yun'er girl, go and scoop out another basin of water. Liang Jinxiao called out. Zhao Yun'er responded. Just as she was about to get up, Liang Xinyue said, Big Aunt, let me do it. Saying this, Liang Xinzi eagerly picked up the wooden basin on the ground and rushed into Zhao Yun'er's kitchen. Yun'er, this child is not bad. She's quite diligent and efficient. Liang Jinxiao's eyes were filled with admiration for Liang Xinzi. Zhao Yun'er had also observed Liang Xinzi's appearance when she worked. She was indeed not bad. It could be seen that she had helped out a lot at home. Compared to Liang Xinyue, Liang Xinzi was clearly much better. Liang Xinzi was also more low-key and honest than Liang Xinyue. After comparing the two, Zhao Yun'er had a pretty good impression of Liang Xinzi. She answered Liang Jinxiao, yes, mother. Liang Xinzi had not been in the kitchen for long. When she came out with a basin of water, she accidentally tripped over a rock in front of her and fell heavily to the ground. She could not help but cry out, ah! Everyone looked at Liang Xinzi, thinking that something had happened. Just as he saw Liang Xinzi fall to the ground, he hurried out. Just as Zhao Yun'er was about to help Liang Xinzi up, Mu Lianfeng, who was at the side, helped Liang Xinzi up and asked in a cold voice, Are you okay? Liang Xinzi looked up and met Mu Lianfeng's deep eyes. Her heart could not help but tremble. She immediately became nervous. It was as if she could not feel the pain in her body. I think I sprained my leg. Liang Xinzi stammered as she replied. Mu Lianfeng's eyes narrowed and landed on Liang Xinzi's leg. He saw that Liang Xinzi's leg was indeed not lightly injured. There were some purple bruises on it. Liang Xinyue rushed in front of Liang Xinzi and Mu Lianfeng. When she saw the scene in front of her, her heart was filled with jealousy. Master Shitzi was actually holding Liang Xinzi's arm and had such intimate contact with Liang Xinzi. This was too much. Cousin, how can you seduce people like this? Pretending to fall and asking Master Shitzi to help you up. After Liang Xinyue finished speaking to Liang Xinzi, she turned to Zhao Yun'er and complained to Zhao Yun'er. She fanned the flames, Cousin Yun'er, look, Cousin is seducing Master Shitzi right in front of you. She even pretended to fall. She definitely wants to steal Master Shitzi from you. Chapter 1744. How could Zhao Yun'er be so easily manipulated? This Liang Xinyue was truly brainless. Not only that, she also liked to be jealous. She didn't even let off her own cousin. She wasn't a person who didn't understand. Mu Lianfeng was a kind person. When he met a pregnant woman who was about to give birth on the streets of Chengdu, he didn't even look down on her. His upright personality made him subconsciously help people who needed help. Liang Xinzi had fallen while helping her family with work. Mu Lianfeng was at the side, so it was normal for him to help Liang Xinzi up. Moreover, Mu Lianfeng's hands were carefully placed on Liang Xinzi's clothes, so they weren't very intimate. If Zhao Yun'er ran over to be jealous and make a fuss, wouldn't it seem like she was being petty? Zhao Yun'er narrowed her phoenix eyes and looked at Liang Xinyue with a faint smile. Liang Xinyue's heart sank. Why was the situation she expected completely different from the situation in reality? Could it be that Zhao Yun'er wasn't angry? She saw Shitzi supporting Liang Xinzi and didn't have any reaction at all. This wasn't normal. Liang Xinzi looked at Zhao Yun'er with a wronged expression and said, Cousin Yun'er, I didn't. You have to believe me. I really didn't have any intention of seducing Shitzi. Then she glared at Liang Xinyue and reprimanded Liang Xinyue, you're talking nonsense. You just can't bear to see me doing well, so you're framing me. Liang Xinyue, how can your heart be so bad? You must be jealous that Shiziyi is supporting me. Cousin Yun, isn't a fool. How could she not know who was thinking about Shiziyi and who wanted to seduce Shiziyi? Look at how infatuated you were with Shiziyi today. Could it be that everyone was blind and didn't see it? Liang Xinyue's face turned red from Liang Xinzi's words. She felt like she had been exposed. Are you saying that you're not thinking about the crown prince? No matter what, I wouldn't be as shameless as you to pretend to fall and let the crown prince help you, right? Cousin Yun, don't believe her. She did it on purpose. I didn't. You're lying. You are. Hearing Liang Xinzi and Liang Xinyue arguing, Zhao Yun'er rubbed her temples. She was annoyed to death. She knew that both of them admired Mu Yanfeng more or less. However, Chengdu was different. Liang Xinzi restrained herself a bit, but Liang Xinyue, Zhao Yun'er could only be described as mentally retarded. He did not know how such a woman could survive. In the end, Zhao Yun'er impatiently said, "Are you done quarreling? If you're done, then shut up." They were probably intimidated by Zhao Yun'er. Only then did the two of them shut their mouths. They glanced at Zhao Yun'er and hesitated to speak. The Liang family also ran over. Old Madame Liang reprimanded Liang Xinyue and Liang Xinzi, "Look at the two of you. You're too outrageous. It's fine if you quarrel at home, but you also like to quarrel outside." After old Madame Liang finished reprimanding, Guocaixia could not help but defend her daughter. "Mother, you can't say things like that. Who did my offend? It was that girl who insisted on coming over to make a fuss. Nothing happened in the first place. Why are you framing my Liang Xinyue pursed her lips and retorted, "I'm telling the truth. Cousin had bad intentions and wanted to seduce Shiziyi. She didn't have such intentions. Why would I come over and say that to her?" Chapter 1745. As she spoke, Guocaixia pointed at Liang Shizi's leg, which was swollen like a steamed bun. Looking at the injury, it was indeed quite serious. If it was an ordinary person who faked it, they definitely wouldn't fall to this extent, right? Zhao Yun'er also believed that this was a simple accident. If Liang Shizi had done it on purpose, how could she have been so sure that Mu Yanfeng would come over to help her when she fell? Liang Jinfen said from the side, "Sister-in-law is right. Who would be so cruel to themselves? It must be Zi, who was careless." Liang Xinyue couldn't refute that. She was still jealous of Liang Shizi. Guocaixia continued to snort coldly and lectured Wu Zhenju, "I say, second sister-in-law, when you go back, you should discipline your properly. She's still young, but she already knows how to frame people. If word of this gets out, wouldn't it be bad for our Z's reputation?" Old Madame Liang had a serious expression as she instructed Wu Zhenju, "Your sister-in-law is right. You didn't know the rules this time. If cousins talk like this, people will laugh at our Liang family's daughters. Not only will it be bad for but it'll also be bad for you When the mother-in-law spoke, the daughter-in-law could only listen. Wu Zhenju wanted to say something, but he didn't dare to refute old Madame Liang. "Mother, I'll remember." Wu Zhenju responded hypocritically, then said to Liang Xinyue, "You child, did you hear that? Don't speak nonsense in the future." Liang Xinyue had a wronged expression, but she could only agree. The ruckus that had been going on immediately stopped. Zhao Yun'er finally breathed a sigh of relief. If this weirdo continued to cause trouble in front of her every day, she was afraid that she wouldn't be able to take it. Mu Yanfeng had already let go of Liang Xinzi and stood to the side. If he had known in advance that helping Liang Shizi would cause such a huge commotion, he definitely wouldn't have helped. "Zier, the injury on your foot is quite serious. You have to reduce the swelling as soon as possible. Otherwise, you'll have to lie in bed for a long time and won't be able to walk." Liang Jinqiao stepped forward and said with concern. Usually, when they sprained their feet while working, the situation was very serious. They had to be treated properly and rubbed. Otherwise, their feet would be swollen and they would not be able to walk. Moreover, it would be very painful. It was obvious that Liang Shizi's foot was seriously injured. Reducing the swelling was not a solution. Guocaixia chimed in, "Zir, your aunt is right. Mother will help you sit down and give you a massage." "Yes, mother." Liang Shizi nodded. When Guocaixia helped her walk, her foot hurt badly every time she moved. It hurt so much that cold sweat broke out on her forehead after just a few steps. Liang Jinxiao went to the kitchen, took out a bowl, poured some sesame oil, and brought it over to Guocaixia. Country people would apply some sesame oil on their feet to reduce the swelling after spraining their feet. Then, they would massage the feet. If they massaged the feet more, the swelling would dissipate a lot. However, it would hurt a little when they massaged it. They would have to massage it a few more times before the swelling would completely disappear. Sesame oil was a precious thing in the countryside. Liang Jinxiao only poured a few drops. Most country people would apply some on their hands to massage it so that it would be smoother. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to move it. Liang Shizi sat down while Guocaixia squatted on the ground to help massage her feet. Liang Shizi screamed in pain. "Mother, it hurts. Please be gentler." Chapter 1746. Guocaixia was experienced and knew that the strength of the massage could not be too light. If it was too light, there would be no effect. It would be better not to massage. Liang Shizi was in so much pain that she broke out in a cold sweat. She could not help but continue to wail, sounding very miserable. Zhao Yun's attention gradually shifted away from Liang Shizi. Thinking about this woman, she was quite pitiful. She actually fell and became like this. After Liang Jinxiao came out of the house, he continued to work beside Zhao Yun. He could not help but sigh, "If I had known that was injured like this, I would not have asked her to help." Zhao Yun pursed her lips and chuckled, "Mother, how can there be so many ifs? If only I had known earlier." Sigh, Liang Jinxiao felt a little sorry for Liang Shizi. Looking at Liang Shizi's condition, even if she rubbed her feet, she would probably not be able to move around casually for a few days. Mu Lianfeng continued to come forward to help. The original dishes were almost all done, leaving only a few meat dishes. The prepared few big fish had to be killed first. Originally, Zhao Yun wanted to kill the fish herself. Mu Lianfeng took the knife from Zhao Yun and smiled at Zhao Yun. "Yun, let me do this kind of bloody thing. It's not good for a girl like you to do this kind of work." Seeing that her man was feeling sorry for her, Zhao Yun smiled and did not stop Mu Lianfeng. Then you do it." Mu Lianfeng took the knife and went to the side to dissect the fish. Some of the things in the fish's stomach were thrown to the side. However, it was summer and could easily spoil. He had to clean it up later. Otherwise, it would easily stink and attract flies. Xiao He wandered around at the side for a while. Smelling the fishy smell on the ground, he wagged his tail and left. He was not very interested in this kind of raw food. After a while, a furry dog came out of nowhere, dragging a big belly. First, he glanced at Mu Lianfeng warily, and then he cautiously did not dare to approach him. After observing Mu Lianfeng for a while, he felt that Mu Lianfeng wasn't dangerous. Only then did he slowly move closer. He bit into the fish belly on the ground and dragged it aside to eat. This kind of fishy smell was too attractive for cats. Perhaps it was because Mao was too hungry, all the things on the ground were eaten clean. It just so happened that Zhao Yun's house didn't have to be cleaned up. "Mom, whose cat is this?" Zhao Yuner asked casually. She was very fond of small animals. Liang Jinxiao glanced at them and replied, "They should be from Zhao Ping's family." Zhao Ping and old Zhao's family were only related by ancestry. When it came to their generation, the relationship had faded a lot. Zhao Yuner remembered such a person. He was one of the few bachelors in the village. His family was too poor and he couldn't find a wife. It's his. This cat's nose is really sensitive. It knew to find our house from such a long distance away. Zhao Yun'er joked. Liang Jinxiao chuckled and said, how is it sensitive? Your Uncle Zhao's family is poor. There's nothing for people to eat. How can there be food for the cat? This cat runs around the village during the day. If there's food that is thrown away, it will come over to eat. Otherwise, it would have starved to death. Zhao Yun'er heard and nodded. There was a touch of sympathy in her eyes when she looked at the cat. It didn't eat usually. No wonder it ate so much now.